Hello, everybody. Welcome to Directly to You. It's the 151 episode, 51st episode of Directly to You. It's the Pokemon episode. It's the Pokemon one.
It is.
We are fanatixfour. I'm AJ at fanatixfour. I'm joined by Parker, also at fanatixfour. We record this show every day. You can support the show by going to youtube.com/fanatixfour or twitch.tv/fanatixfour and give them $4.99. Or if you don't want to give us $4.99, borrow it from Jeff Bezos, dude. You got Amazon Prime? Link it with your Twitch account. You get Prime Gaming. It's a free sub. You got to renew it every month. That's the only cost to you. You just got to remember, I got to go to twitch.tv/fanatixfour. You scroll down to the subscribe thing. You click the drop down thing. You say, I got a Twitch Prime sub, and you give it to us. In exchange for that, you get access to supporters on Discord. You get free squid cheese from time to time. You get loyalty badges. You get emotes. We got a new emote. Got the Min Bog. It's not that new in the grand scheme of things, because I added it, just didn't say anything. I was like, here's the emote. I got it from Melissa. And we're working on other ones that will be up whenever they are done. Also, you can join the Discord regardless of if you're a supporter or not by going to the link in the description and saying, yo, Duncan, where you at? Yo. Peace, sir.
So got the three yos, but you had to split them up for variety.
Exactly.
Put a little spaces
up, dude. Yeah, man. Switching things up. Yep. We're not switching things up entirely, though. What games are you playing?
Okay. Here's my Switch. Let me see. It's been like 2 weeks since since I've been on because
we didn't do the podcast with the Arceus
with
thing,
Pokemon,
because schedule was all effed, and then schedule was kind of effed the week after that too, partially because of that still, and you couldn't be on, and here we are back to normal.
Back to normal. Yeah, so that's up. But here we're back. Yeah, playing games. So since then, I beat Bowser, or not. I'd already beaten Bowser's Fury. You already beat that. 3D Worlds. And I posted on Twitter, Champions Road, and all that stuff. I died more times in Champions Road than I did in every other single
collectively. Yeah,
level.
That checks out.
Checks out. Some of the other ones are pretty hard. Like once you get towards the later sections and stuff, there's some hard ones. But I
think my average is screwed with that. Specifically because multiplayer is you're gonna die so much more than you ever would single player.
Yeah, and it counts all of their deaths probably, right? Yeah, because it's still part of your life count when they die, right? Yeah, so that definitely would count towards it. Yeah, so that but yeah, man, it was kind of a slow burn where as I was playing 3D Worlds towards the beginning, I was like, yeah, this is fun, but I don't really care that much, but somehow wanting to complete it just made it more fun. I don't know, that's not always the case. Usually it's the other way around. It's that I want to complete it because I want to do more of the thing I'm already enjoying. Yeah. And I was having fun with it, but I think the tricky thing with platformers too is the purpose of them is generally to be fairly approachable. And so most of ideally, just about anybody should be able to beat Bowser, so that's 7-8 worlds or whatever of the game should be moderately, completable by, anybody that puts in a little bit of time, even if they're kind of a newcomer to games. So that makes it weird where I think there's a lot of times as, people who play games a lot, we end up being critical of this game's too easy and stuff like that. And it's but I don't think we can quite judge it on that. Champions Road, on the other hand, whatever. But that's why games like Celeste or whatever, which are just it's hard to, to just one shot anything. You get to retry things and stuff, and it's fun. It's challenging more so than hard, I guess, but if those are that different,
because that complaint ends up being vapid. It's it's not hard, and then you have all these games that are hard for the sake of being hard. It's is that what we want? I don't know if that's
there's such a small window of what that means where it's a good challenge as opposed to whatever. So I think
Shovel Knight is probably the peak of that, which it's not hard, but it's challenging, and the challenge makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't really die, and it's like, oh, the game did this to me. Like, it doesn't feel like
that's the
that.
worst. Yeah, and there's plenty of games that do that, and I don't enjoy any of them typically. But yeah. So I think like getting all the stars was fun. Getting the stamps and all that stuff, it was a good time. So yeah, that was did that. Took me probably, I don't know, probably 5 hours total of playtime to end up beating Champions Road in the end, which, because I remember, I think it was Blessing that posted that it was like after 7.5 hours, I finally did it, beat Champions Road. And I was like, 7.5 hours?
I thought it was, I don't know if I
only remember,
I don't know.
I remember
if I saw
somebody
Blessing.
posting
I
it.
remember Cam posting that he
Maybe it was Cam. It was
Champions
Cam.
Road,
Yeah.
because it was like he got hit once or something like that, and then he did the rest of it as like small Mario. I remember that, but I don't know if
it was Cam. You're right. So yeah, that was the thing. Although I did it all as Rosalina because I started as Rosalina.
Boo. You cheated. You didn't cheat the game. You cheated yourself. Something.
So, but it was one of those things too, where like you and I have talked about, where the first time I played the level, I got further than I did the next 20 times that I played the level, because I was like actually thinking about what I was doing. But then instead, like, it's just fun to pretty much learn to speed run a section. But that just meant I messed up a lot of times doing really dumb things, because it was like just not quite getting the exact thing where I could have waited a little bit longer and gone further.
Yeah,
but
it's like, but
I'm impatient. So
what if I did this in a cooler way?
Yes, exactly. It's just fun to do it the cool way. And that's the fun part about Rosalina, is it meant that I got to, like, in the beginning section, there's some little fibros, and you got to, as Mario, you would have to go up this platform and then that platform. But Rosalina, you can just jump up straight up, which is fun. So
just jump straight up.
So played that, and 2 other games that I've mostly been playing. Ollie Ollie Switch Stance. I got that with some gold coins. Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. I like it a lot. It's either Will or Bob that's talked about it before, maybe both of them. But it was a long time ago. I remember.
Feels like a Will game.
Yeah. But yeah, I got it.
Might have talked about it.
So I finally played it a little bit, and yeah, it's a good time. It's a skateboarding game for anybody that doesn't know. It's a skateboarding game, but it's kind of like an auto runner, essentially, like 2D, side scrolling kind of thing, where you'll have to like go over stairs or like down grind rails or stuff like that, and make combos, joining stuff together. So sort of auto runner and
Tony Hawk. The auto runner,
pretty much. But like pretty fast, and like you within the, like, think Celeste in terms of, or Super Meat Boy or whatever, in terms of like you die, you start right back up kind of a thing.
It's like a freaking 2D Tony Hawk downhill jam.
There you go. So it's good. Yeah, been playing that. And then the last thing, Age of Calamity, finally getting back to try to finish that.
Play that video game.
Yeah,
but
man,
I got to do it on stream. So
yeah, there's some characters I mentioned on Twitter. I know you saw it there, but like one character especially that I'll hint for the people who know where I'm at. It's at one point where you get 4 characters pretty close together. It's one of those characters that I did not think I was going to care about at all, because reasons. And man, what a character. I think you'll also like this one for it's a guy, obviously, because I keep accidentally saying he's pretty technical. I feel like, where his R button, instead of being like a special attack, is like, if you time it right with your strong attacks, it makes them even stronger. So there's like good incentive to do that. So like it feels a tiny bit more in the like Smash kind of thinking, in that kind of regard.
And whatnot.
Yeah, so he's fun. All right, and that's pretty much it for me. A little bit of Lonely Mountains Downhill, a little bit of Glyph. There you go, playing some games. What about you?
Sick. Speaking of Smash, I was like, we got this new character. I like this character. This character's fun. Or these characters. I'll get them in Elite Smash. So the day before yesterday, I turned the game on. I did 4 matches. They're in Elite Smash.
And then you'll just leave them there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still going to use. See, that's the thing. But when it's characters that like I like, There's characters like
Yeah.
Banjo where it's like, I don't care about Banjo. He accidentally got into Elite Smash.
Yeah.
I don't usually use him in quick play because I don't like playing quick play. Quick play is like a thing that's like, nobody else is online right now. I want to play Smash. I don't want to do the free-for-all tournaments. I guess I'll play quick play.
Yeah.
In that scenario, I lean towards characters that I have fun playing with. It's not really a thing because I know for some people, quick play is like a thing where Elite Smash to them is like a badge of honor. It's like I was able to get this character in Elite Smash. Elite Smash for me, for characters that I get on purpose, and Elite Smash is like, this is proof to myself that I am worthy of playing this character.
Yeah.
like if I can't be an Elite Smash, I can't say I'm good with this character.
Right. And stay in Elite Smash. Because that's the thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
From what I understand.
Getting there is easy.
Yeah.
Staying in there is staying in there while you frequently play it with these characters.
Yeah, exactly.
They can fall out, but it's unlikely they're going to fall out if you get them in and you just never touch them again. Like Banjo, I think I played with him maybe 2 or 3 more times since I got him into Elite Smash, and he's still there, never fell out. And I got him in Elite Smash like 5 months ago or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I think Pyro, Mythra, Min, the opposite now, but Min and Pokemon Trainer. If I play Elite Smash, it's probably just going to be Pyro, Mythra, because I have Pokemon Trainer and Min at the same exact GSP down to the last digit. I can't mess that up, dude. And it's not even about losing the GSP because they're in Elite Smash. They're like 400,000 plus GSP over the threshold for like they're in you know, so it's not about like the fear of losing it. It's just like, what if I win a match and I gain more points with Pokemon Trainer than I do when I win a match with Min? Like, I don't want to risk that, dude. I want them to have the same exact GSP.
That's so funny. Yeah.
It's so unlikely for that to happen. So if I play Elite Smash, it's going to be with Pyro and Min probably from now on. Oh, also, I'm probably going to get Sephiroth in eventually, but I don't know if I feel like doing it. I feel like Sephiroth is a character I don't want to use on quick play because he doesn't feel fun online.
The tournament thing also, just as an aside, is a good point because I was hanging out with Mitch this week and he was saying that, you know, he likes Smash but doesn't like playing it online because the typical, you know,
because it's lag,
people cheesing it kind of stuff and all that stuff. Yeah. Like, you know, and I mentioned to him the arena thing that like that, you know, that's something he's like, yeah, I've done that before. I've like just opened up an arena, let people come in and
yo, Mitch, hit me up, my guy.
But then, so that I was like, hey, I'll let you know the next time AJ has an arena and then like you can pop in there if you want. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. But the tournament is something that I didn't think to mention, but because every time you mention that, it sounds like that's like a more consistent good experience.
Yeah, the tournament is like probably my second most preferred way to play the game. Nice. Because at least there's some form of consistency. It's like the rules aren't the best. I would prefer if the stages were better because it's just always FD. And even though like
really interesting.
Yeah, like the casual mindset of FD is like, oh, there's no distractions. That means it's fair. And it's like, no, there are characters that have distinct advantages on FD over other characters. So it doesn't really.
When you say it's just Final Destination, do you mean like literally
it's the
that
Final Destination form? Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
No platforms.
Yeah, the Omega or whatever it is.
Yeah, Omega version of the stages. It's just FD. There were like 4-minute matches, 2 stock or something like that. And like competitive rule set is usually 7-8 minutes. A set of like I think like 8 or 9 stages that are like these are like competitively viable, and it's like an averaging of like stages that are like certain characters prefer, certain characters don't, but no character gets like outright cheesed by the existence of the stage. Or there's no like for instance runoffs. I was going to post a clip that I did with Mythra. I literally 3-stocked somebody in 20 seconds with Mythra because they picked the runoff stage, because it's literally, oh, okay, I'm just going to run up, I'm going to hit you with the side B, I'm gonna, like, and that pushes you off the stage. That's 1 stock, 5 seconds. All right, you're back on the stage. Oh, you thought you're smart? Okay, back throw, side B, you're dead again. Next stock. You know, it was like literally like that, but it was just like, It's like, this is why you don't use, this is why stages get banned.
Yeah,
because of stuff like this. It's not because the competitive players don't know what they're doing. It's a mercy to you as somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. You know, like,
man.
So that was the thing. Other than that, just stream games. I freaking streamed Boy Zelda on the Breath of the Wild anniversary. I've played Pokemon, not this week. This week I just played Smash on stream. I tried playing Minecraft, but my computer said no. Our Streamlabs specifically said no. And then immediately after I stopped streaming Smash Brothers, I played Minecraft on my computer at 120 frames per second, 4K, mods fully on. You know, so it's like just streaming was like, no, you can't even play the game in 420p. It's like, all right, game.
That's like, so annoying. Yeah.
Stupid. But that's me. That's what
I'm playing. Nice. Here, I'm gonna check. Before we move on, make sure there's nothing else that I'm forgetting, because maybe there's a really good game that I forgot to mention.
No, I didn't say. I was like, yo, I'm gonna freaking play, or I'm gonna try to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna get past the 17-hour mark, and then I turn it on. I was like, I don't know where to go. And then I was like,
that's the thing. So you picked back up from your last save.
Yeah. I'm not starting it over. I'm 17 hours in.
Do you remember where you, like, just locale wise, where you are, what it looks like? Or
it's like I like had a freaking confrontation with the freaking, what's his name, Malos dude or whatever. And then they're like, oh, we gotta go to what is the place called? I would turn the game on, but that's a lot of work. You want to vamp? I can tell you where I'm at.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'll vamp. So I was going to say, I actually tried to, because I'd played Blue Fire for a while, a bit ago, and then played a bunch of other games. And then I came back to play it, and I'm exactly at that same kind of situation where, like, I could look up something pretty easily, but I just finished, like, I don't know, a chapter, and it's like, go on this next quest thing to find these items or do something. But it's like, I even remember while I was playing it feeling a little bit vague, where I was like, I think I kind of know where to go, but I don't really know. And so now 3 weeks later, definitely don't know. So I'm 100% going to have to look that up to find out.
Last time I played this game was freaking 2017. So I 1000% don't know where I'm at. This is where I am. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I honestly wondered, when you said 17 hours, I was wondering, honestly, just literally keep going to where those exclamation marks are. That's a whole big town, and there will be some obvious stuff there. It's going to be a little bit twisty and turny getting up there, but you kind of just zigzag from, like, down in the from, like, the left side of this whole of island to the right side of the left side.
I hate maps like this, though, because it's like, this is like, go this way, but it doesn't account for elevation. Like, I can't just go straight. I can't be like, oh, I'm here.
Yep. No, yeah, pretty much, keep going roughly in that direction, but it's going to zigzag a whole bunch. And, like, basically it's straight ahead and up, but it just will take a lot of zigging and zagging to get there. And this is where they did I'm very fond of that area specifically, just because it was where they did one of the Treehouse presentations in 2017. And that was, when we were still very wide-eyed and bushy-tailed about everything Switch. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I love it. And so when I finally got to that area, I was like, this is the place from the Treehouse.
But that's where I'm at. And then after that happened, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So maybe
also
I'll
valid
now.
It's been 4 years at this point. So, like, if you just don't want to, that's totally fine too. But well, cool. So those are the games that we were playing on our Switch, but we're going to play an entirely different kind of game right now on the podcast. Ashley and I have been watching Good Mythical Morning some, because yesterday she was like, do you think I'd enjoy Good Mythical Morning? And I was like, yeah, I think so, because we just don't have, like, a YouTube
Where
thing.
Did that come from? Was it just on your homepage or something? And
I think she just heard of it before, and, like, I don't know if something else, like, she saw maybe a food theory video was there and then thought food. I have no clue, but at some point she just thought Good Mythical Morning. I was like, I don't know, we can check it out. So we've been watching more of those. But yeah, they do like little games and stuff on there. And that's fun.
like their thing. It's like
Yeah,
either they're
right.
eating something, it's a game, or it's a game about eating something.
But yeah, this comes in the Discord. Dirt Marcos asked, it's the 151st episode, if I remember correctly. Can you name all 151 Pokemon right now? It's a challenge to do, but whoever names the most wins. Also, great job with the podcast.
Thanks. We can't do the challenge thing because logistically it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
like
right.
we wouldn't really be able to do that in a way that's like fair because it would be like, all right, I'm doing it first.
Yeah.
And then I name them and then I miss 3. And then Parker's like, I know the 3 and I know all the ones that you just named.
Yeah.
So
or we just
I
go
win.
back and forth, at which point, like, it's, I don't know. So what we decided to do instead, I'm going to share my screen. Here, let me do this and get the right thing up here and only show that. And then now share my screen. And so we're going to work together to see how fast we can name all of them. Here's this
moving
one.
my keyboard and my mouse away for proof. My hands are visible.
If I really wanted to cheat, which
you could turn around. Yeah.
Turn around and look at that thing, but it's very small from here to look at it, so I'm not going to. But yeah, so I think the way this works, we type in, if you're listening on the audio, yeah, there's no pictures or anything. I wish there was a better looking version of this. This one looks neutral.
It doesn't look good. It
but,
doesn't look good for videos, but
yeah, exactly. So we type in Pokemon name, it puts it in a grid next to its number, and then we just keep going, and it gives us a 10-minute timer. So I guess we're going to do it in 10 minutes or less is the idea.
Let's
so
do it. Let's go.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, start quiz.
Bulbasaur, Ivysaur,
Yep.
Venusaur, Charmander,
Squirtle. Oh, I'm not even going in order. Yeah, we'll go Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard,
Wartortle.
The first like
Blastoise.
couple pages of okay, we'll go Caterpie, Metapod,
Butterfree.
Yep.
Pidgey. I don't know if this is the next one. Yeah. Okay,
Oh,
Weedle,
yeah.
Kakuna.
Weedle, Kakuna,
Beedrill.
We're about to get into not the right order, I'm sure.
Yeah, like freaking Rattata, Eradicate.
Pidgey.
Yeah, Pidgeotto, Pidgeot. It did Pidgeot at first.
It just like did it.
It already messed up
That's
the order for us.
Eradicate, and now
Spearow.
I think is next. Fearow, Ekans, Arbok. I think that's in order.
Nidoran.
Number 25. What's number 25?
Pikachu.
Raichu. Sandshrew, I think is next.
Sandshrew, possibly.
Yeah, look at
Sandslash.
Nidoran, and
then just type in Nidoran, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Wait, Nidoran. It says already guessed.
So it just do you have to put the
apparently? Oh, maybe I did.
Oh, it just
whatever. It doesn't matter.
So Nidorino.
Nidoqueen. I really like the Nidoqueen, Nidoking, like just that whole line. I think they're really fun for some reason.
Cool. And they kind of did that with Tauros and Miltank. Freaking.
Are
we going to type in Tauros? Tauros. Did you did Jigglypuff?
I did Jigglypuff for no good reason. Clefairy, I think is Clefable.
Wigglytuff, since Jigglypuff's already there.
Wigglytuff. I think Meowth is pretty early on.
Persian.
Oh no, he's not early on. I was wrong.
Very not.
Persian, go ahead and do that. Venonat is. I'm just picturing my
like the first Pokemon that come to mind for you.
Well, no,
I only know roughly the first like 25 in order, and then it's like, all right, we're done, or 26, I guess.
Yeah,
freaking Raichu.
I'm doing Psyduck, Golduck. Okay, now I'm just not going in order anymore.
All right, yeah,
let's just
forget order now. Porygon,
Rapidash.
I don't know why I said Rapidash first.
Growlithe,
Horsey,
Seadra,
Dragonite,
Dragonair, Dratini.
Muck.
Muck, Grimer,
Grimer.
Execute.
Execute.
How do you spell that?
Executor. Egg.
Good. I'm glad they kind of like autocorrect for you because that's
nice.
Voltorb and Electrode.
Pinsir.
Mm-hmm.
Scyther. Mew.
Magmar.
Magmar.
Mewtwo.
The Articuno, Moltres. Zapdos.
Zapdos.
Eevee, Flareon, Vaporeon,
Jolteon.
Vulpix, Ninetales.
Vulpix, Ninetales. Oh, there we go. That's what? Ninetales?
It's like Tales like stories, I think.
Oh, I just added random T in the middle. That was why.
Jinx.
Magnemite.
Mime.
Magnemite. My first Pokemon card ever. Magneton. That's it.
Abra. Freaking Kadabra.
Alakazam. Onyx.
Geodude. Graveler.
Golem. Rhydon. Rhyhorn.
I'm trying to think what we haven't named already. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
Trying to,
okay. Grass types. There's Bloom,
freaking Bellsprout.
Yep. Bellsprouts. Yeah.
Gloom.
Weeping Bell.
Vileplume. Victory Bell.
Victory Bell. We are at halftime, y'all, and we've got 96 out of 151. But this is also where it starts getting hard because we have to like remember things. It's Paris, Parasect.
Yeah, Parasect.
What's these ones that are missing? It doesn't matter. We'll figure them out.
We'll freaking
Doduo,
Primate, Mankey,
Dodrio. Yep, Mankey.
I think that
like
might be
Primate
the two that were same.
Primate. Okay, I was missing E. Okay.
Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee.
Hitmonchan.
Machop, Machoke.
Machamp. Machoke. Machamp. Zubat, that's what it is.
Zubat there it is.
And Golbat.
Did we already do Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar?
Nope, sure didn't. Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar. Magikarp. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Gyarados. Seal.
Dugong.
Oh, I was just thinking of one.
Oh, we already do? I said it, but did you put it in Eevee, Flareon?
I did, yes. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Got it. Lapras.
Farfetch'd.
Snorlax. Oh, yeah. Farfetch'd. 119 out of 151. 3 minutes, 25 seconds left.
Okay. Let's see.
Why is it so hard now?
Star me, star you.
There you go. Star me, star you. Oh, Cloyster.
Shelter. Slowbro.
Slowpoke. What's before? I'm thinking Lickitung. It's not that one, but
we don't have evolutions to go off of with that.
Not Grimer. Coughing.
Oh, coughing, wheezing, yeah.
Wheezing, Kangaskhan. I'm like thinking Gen 1 areas. Yep.
Chansey.
What is here? Oh,
I'm trying not to get lost in like individual pockets and just thinking of the Pokemon overall because I think that's going to mess us up in the end. We did that.
I'm actually going to look at pockets, and then you think overall. I'll look at pockets because I just remembered Kabuto, Kabutops,
Cubone,
Omanite.
Marowak.
Oh yeah. Omanite, Omastar, Marowak, Cubone, and
Aerodactyl.
Aerodactyl.
Yep. Let me see.
After Onyx.
How much time do we have?
We have 1 minute and 27 seconds.
Oh,
We've got
no.
like 13 left to go. There's this big spot right here that Drowsy.
Yeah, Hypno. Okay. Who did we not?
I think there's a 3 evolution left that we're missing.
Poor evolution line, dude.
They can't be remembered by us. Who are they?
Yeah. Who do we not name yet?
And there's a 2 right there. I got man.
These are the Pokemon that they can cut out of the Pokedex next time around.
Apparently so.
And that's fine.
All right, we got 29 seconds. I'm not feeling great about,
because obviously when it fills in, it's gonna be like, but
100%, yeah, because it's not like we don't.
Yeah, like we know the Pokemon. They're just
right,
not
exactly.
Pokemon that are like coming to our heads.
Yep. Oh, we should have had. I should have like at 1 minute had like 3-second peek at the thing. You know, I'm gonna do it now.
I know that would have been cheating, dude.
100%. It's too late at this point anyway. I remember one. Tangela. All right, here we go.
Tentacle. Krabby. I'm mad I didn't freaking name Krabby, dude. Freaking Professor Oak ate this man.
Oh, that's dumb. I put Goldeen, but I didn't type in Seeking.
Oh, rip.
So I just forgot to actually do that one. But okay, so the ones we forgot in 10 minutes.
So Tentacle and Krabby, that whole line, those lines, we could take them out of the game.
Yep. Poliwag,
even though like realistically we should have remembered that Krabby at the very least. Like Krabby,
Dugtrio, yeah, I like Diglett.
That was one that I thought we named already, but I was like, wait, did we name it? Did we not?
No. Yeah, and so yeah, Diglett, Dugtrio, Poliwag, Poliwhirl, Poliwrath, Tentacruel, Krabby King.
I wonder if somebody in the comments the whole entire time were you like Diglett, like not towards the end. I mean at like minute like 6 of us doing this, were you like Diglett?
Man. So yeah, like for this, a lot of this time I was picturing my Pokemon binder of like, you know, all the Pokemon and things.
Yeah,
but like some of these spots were just blank.
Thinking of it like that is a hard stop for me. It's like I
that's how I've seen them the most. I think honestly, like in order. So like that's why when I got to Ammonite, Omastar, Kabutops, and Kabuto and stuff, I was like, what's on the page right before Articuno, Moltres, and all that? And I was like, oh yeah, it's those guys. But yeah. There it is.
Failures, dude. We're failures.
We are failures, not even Pokemon fans. Or we're just not Gen 1ers, it turns out. And I thought I was this whole time, but no. Okay, so that is that's that bit. And now we're going to move on to our next topic, which similar, not really
still
news.
A game, kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
Really a game.
Just conversation thing. So this week they announced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge coming at some point. I forgot to note when it was coming, if they even said it all. I don't know. And I was like, hey, what's similar like old licensed games or media franchises they could turn into games? Well, I asked AJ, hey, 2 different topics. Which would you rather do? Either bring back old licensed games like these, or like media franchises that could work well as games. Like he made a Hunger Games video a long time ago and about like how that could be a game. And AJ said, why not both?
It makes no sense.
It'll be both.
Out of nowhere was like, hey, how about I get 10,000 views out of nowhere? That was
no clue. Yeah.
I did that for homework.
I mean, and at this point, if
I
any
got
of
a
these
grade
ideas
for
are
it.
like, oh,
I got
this would
college
be
credits
cool.
for that.
I want to get some college credits for stuff. Not really.
Go to media. Go to college
Yeah.
for media, dude.
No, that honestly, I was told somebody. Well, it was Mitch. I was hanging out with Mitch. He went to school for accounting and is doing nothing at all to do with accounting. And I remember, like, because we went to college together. I remember his senior year, he like the worst case of senioritis, and I was like, honestly, kind of college got better and better for me because I got more into classes doing, audio production stuff and things I actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So like towards the end, I was like, I was never a better student than my last year of college, even though I was ready to be done also, but like at least the classes were things I was enjoying doing. But then the irony that like, well, I'm done now. So like
I had somewhere I was
whatever.
in the middle of both of you because it was like it's something I enjoyed, but I was already doing it
Yeah,
for money.
right.
So it's like I'm sacrificing money to pay you money to tell me how to do what I'm already doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Which I'm like, I'd imagine some of the classes probably it's like, okay, there were some helpful things in there. And then a couple of them, it's like, why am I even doing this class? I have to do this class. Why am I doing this class? And that's annoying. So, but in any case, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all that. Yeah, let's talk about. So one of the things I was thinking is looking back at, like some old, just a list of licensed games. Some ones that stand out, and then like I don't know. I'm thinking we, say them and then kind of like brainstorm a little bit if they could still work. But like obviously, the Lion King shows up there. I don't know that should necessarily return. Like it was cool and all, but I don't know that we need an open world Sahara Lion King
also
game.
you mean like because this isn't like a modern take on that. Like this is just like
for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's a pretty straight.
Again. Yeah, it's like
I'm thinking.
A new one.
Yeah, I'm thinking just more the franchise comes back
right
as like a game that's because a lot of these, like that was one, or like same for the Scott Pilgrim game or whatever, where like it was made based after a different franchise, but like they made it as a game in mind, as opposed to there's a lot of licensed games where like, I don't know, just check some stuff together, who even knows? And that's not worth anything. So like, but what are the other ones that like, if they decided, like GoldenEye is a good example where they were like, we're going to make a game, like we're going to make a GoldenEye game. So those kinds of things where it's like, if they decided to like really make a new game with this franchise, like they could make something actually cool as opposed to like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of something that wouldn't work, but like, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure there are lots.
Cool spot.
I thought you were going to say Cool Runnings, and I was like, oh no, that would actually be so fun. I'm actually probably wouldn't. A bobsled game, I don't know that would be good,
God.
but yeah, like one of the ones that I see here, Toy Story. Like, I mean, pretty much just Chibi Robo, but a new Toy Story game could be dope.
I mean, they should have did that freaking 2 years ago or whatever. When did Toy Story 4 come out?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a couple years ago.
Like that. They could have did that then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an example that you gave before we started recording was Simpsons Hit and Run. They could do that again.
Yep.
What? That doesn't even make sense. One of the lists, like one of the games on here is Kingdom Hearts, and I feel like that's like it doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. That's funny.
There's like a lot of like the best licensed games that are still licenses that they maintain. Like Star Wars would be an easy one, but Star Wars made a new Star Wars game or last year, the year before that. Like there's always something in Star Wars. SpongeBob, I guess.
So the thing I was thinking about this is like it kind of has to be a property that has interest and lore also outside of the immediate just the story that's happening, because it's boring to like if I think about like again, people on here know I really liked the Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King game on GameCube. That was great. But the story was just retelling the story from the game.
Right.
I mean, from the book and the movie and all that from the book. But but the gameplay was fun and all that. But like if they wanted to turn
the
that
thing, it's like if anything, it's like here's a new episode that you never saw before, but in video game form.
Right.
Like that
I
sort
think
of thing,
that's the best way to like really, do it well, is tell a new story within
not
that world.
Star
So it
Wars
has to have
Episode
something.
3, the video game,
Right.
or Star Wars Episode 3, the movie, the video game.
Unless I guess you do it as like Lego Star Wars, where it's like it's a parody of it, so it's you can those kinds of things. But the ones that would really do well, I think, are those things where they've got a little bit more lore going on outside of that. Something that came to mind. I mean, I feel like they already. This exists as other games instead, which works just as well. But Tenet, after Bob doing his video on that or whatever,
on the Game Boy,
this week, like that would be interesting, just because the whole there's games like Deathloop or whatever that already have that loop kind of thing, but the premise of time moving forward and moving backwards at the same time, and doing some things with that, like it would be hard to do it well, but that could be really cool. Again, as long as you're not just following the story from the thing.
A lot of these licenses, like the ones that have like good games, that are like still relevant licenses, because like we could say like make a new Aladdin game, but like
what does that mean?
What would that do? I mean, I think that they probably are going to end up doing like the like trilogy and like live action or whatever, so maybe that's justification enough. But a lot of them
wait,
are just
the trilogy, you mean like Return, like the 40 Thieves and all that?
Yep.
Actually, I don't care. I really liked Aladdin and the 40 Thieves. I don't care about seeing it in live action particularly, other than like, I don't know, Will Smith did a great job and all that, but
in my head those things are like fine,
exactly,
like
right.
it's more that I just people are like vehemently against them, and I'm like, they exist. I know that there's kids that are like, I don't want to watch this in a cartoon, but then they see it real and they're like, yo, I'm an adult because I'm watching it real instead of there are those kids, and just people that want to see it in a different context. So it's like, for me, it's not this thing of like, it's murdering the thing I love.
No, exactly. It's more like, in my mind, I don't know that it's worth the time to make that, when really I just want an excuse to sit down and watch Aladdin and the 40 Thieves again, because it's great. Like I think that's really what my brain wants. But I could see that.
Yeah, so that's for like the old classic ones. I feel like the thing that we can go off for forever on, because that's literally half of the channel, if not more than that, is what we want them to do that they didn't do. And the easiest of easy ones is Avatar. Like freaking come on,
man.
Dude. Like and again, like they have Avatar games that are like the example that we said, like not that, like not just like literally retelling the first 3 books or whatever, right? But make a game using the universe fully realized within that game.
I mean, honestly, like an Age of Calamity idea, that kind of thing, in that it's like it's just a full new story, but like very much within that world. I mean, I'm sure there's better examples than even that one in terms of like using the book or whatever. And like I don't know,
it wouldn't even necessarily, because like I know I talk about a lot how it's like kind of what I talk about with Pokemon, because they're both similar in that way, where it's like you're born in this world and like who you are in that world matters a lot. So it's like for individual people, it's like I want to be the Avatar, but it could also be sick if it was just like you and like a group of friends have like a campaign almost, and one of you's the Avatar and the rest of you is Team Avatar, like the researchers Zuko's and the Kataras and all that stuff that help you along the way as the Avatar, or help whoever is like chosen to be that. Even if it's like they could do options with that, where it's like either you get to choose like this person's the Avatar, or if like everybody, it's like a whole bunch of type A personalities where it's like I'm the Avatar, you let the game decide. It's like whoever's born and destined to be the Avatar is the Avatar. And it would be even sicker if they did that and the game didn't tell you which one was Avatar. You had to like find it out through like progression. It's like, oh shoot, I firebended, but I was born in the water, that sort of thing. That I think would be really sick.
So I agree with all of this, and I agree with it even more than I did a minute ago, because I definitely, for when you said Avatar, The first thing that came to mind.
Oh my god.
Was the other, which still, like, I mean, as a game world or whatever, like that could be something super cool, and I was like, yeah, I could see that, but it did seem off-brand, not off-brand so much as kind of out of left field. But I was like,
like, when have I ever talked about James Cameron's Avatar?
Yeah, right, exactly. For some reason, that's the thing that came to mind. But yes, I mean, much better for me and more likely to play would be Avatar: The Last Airbender. So
Spy Kids 3D. Somebody brought that up, I think yesterday. When I was one of the streams, somebody brought up freaking Spy Kids 3D Game Over or whatever.
Yep. Okay, here's an embarrassing-ish story that I just told Ashley and my sister-in-law like 3 days ago. I remember being 12? Yeah, watching Spy Kids 3D. And I'm about to spoil Spy Kids 3D for everybody. Watch out.
Oh no.
There's a girl who is like their friend, and she's like all emo and stuff before emo was even quite a thing.
She made emo cool, dude.
She did, probably. And I remember being 12 and being like, wow, she's hot. And Ashley was like, she's so young. And I was like, I was 12. She's
exactly
12-ish, like she was my age.
She's
so like
roughly 12.
It makes sense. And I was like, she's great. I like her. She's cool. And then later you find out she's the deceiver, which was something that we knew about, but we didn't know who it was. And we thought it was somebody else, but it was her all along. She's an AI or something like that. I remember laying in my bed later that night, just being like, can't believe she would do that.
I'm not even
can't even
judge of character. I was in love with her.
I legitimately felt betrayed, and it was like as if she did it to me. And that was like, in the same way that Ashley watched The Prestige, thought she didn't like it, and then the next day was like, man, that was so good, after laying in bed thinking about it for a while. That was The Prestige for me as a 12-year-old. Was Spy Kids 3D. It was so deep, man.
Crazy, dude. Wow.
Yeah, what a time. So that's Spy Kid 3. One that popped up on here it was an NES game, and so obviously don't have it be like NES. Tom and Jerry. I feel like there could be some fun things, some fun shenanigans done with a Tom and Jerry game. Like, it would probably be more of a kid's game, but like just good slapstick fun times. And like a lot of those cartoons and like Looney Tunes kinds of things, honestly, just make a Looney Tunes game kind of like a Nintendo Land sort of situation.
Yeah, dude.
Has
freaking
like a
make
bunch of different
the gritty reboot. Freaking Rocksteady. Make the gritty reboot of the SNES Bugs Bunny game.
Yep. Duck Season. It's just called Duck Season.
Yeah. Yo, Beyblade. I'm looking at so I'm scrolling through like the highest grossing media franchises.
Okay, yeah.
Beyblade. Freaking,
how high is that up?
It's very low. I mean, it's not low, but it's pretty low. It's like right above Seinfeld.
I mean, still, that's crazy. I mean, they've got way more versatility than Seinfeld.
Yeah, like Seinfeld's not a franchise.
Yeah, it was a TV show. But that's something I was going to bring up too. We've talked about that. I saw, I think Indie World posted a trailer for a game.
It's in the $5 to $10 billion range. For
lowly $5 to $10 billion.
Are you even a franchise at $5 to $10 billion? Superman? What? Get it together, Superman. Superman. Unironically, I'm surprised by that. That's very low. You came out in 1938, my guy. Come on.
That's pretty bad,
dude.
I mean, yeah, man. 5 cents for a comic, like, I guess
Despicable Me is on in the same bracket as Superman.
Yep. That's crazy when thinking, especially that like Iron Man is a lot more. Like that kind of thing. And like, again, prior to however many years ago, Iron Man, like, who even was Iron Man?
Yo, the Superman Phantom of the Opera, dude, like, the video game.
It's a rhythm game.
Bob the Builder's in here, dude. $5 billion. Not bad. Not bad, Bob. Not bad.
Yeah, there's some good ideas to be had. And that's all of them. Every single one.
I mean, the Hunger Games.
It's not.
I already named that one, dude. I already named it. I already made that video.
So there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch more I'm sure we could come up with, but we're going to
Cats.
stop for now. Oh my goodness. So good. That's all I've ever wanted. Oh man. So yeah, those games, they might come one day to Switch, but it's not going to, apparently, Bethesda games, because they were going to be exclusive to Game Pass.
But this is incorrect.
So we hear.
This is wrong.
Yeah.
This is
so
very
it's
wrong. And it's so weird. It's like everybody covering this, it feels like they're covering it from, or not covering it, but like people that the people that tweet it. Everybody I've seen tweet it is like, for sure the thing that I said was going to happen is happening, because this is very vague and you can pull any string you want. But like the way that they phrase that does not sound like this at all is the case, because all the places I saw, they say some. I don't know if that means some. I don't know if that means confirmed every single game.
So Phil Spencer on Game Pass and Bethesda games. So he says, so obviously I can't sit here and say every Bethesda game is exclusive, because we know that's not true. There's contractual obligations that we're going to see through, as we always do in every one of these instances. We have games that exist on other platforms, and we're going to go support those games on the platforms they're on. There's communities of players. We love those communities, and we'll continue to invest in them. And even in the future, there might be things that have their contractual things or legacy on different platforms that we'll go do. But if you're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is that this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building. And the creative capability we'll be able to bring to market for Xbox customers is going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox after we're done here. Yeah. I mean, very much it's saying that, like, it's taking a very laissez-faire approach with
everyone's right,
everybody else, but it's just focusing, and rightly so, he's focusing on what it's going to mean for, like, it's making a promise to Xbox customers and not making a promise or denying it from anybody else.
Because no matter what he says, all of this is true. Because it is about bringing exclusive games, because there will be exclusive games. But that also doesn't mean, because like even within that quote, he's like or not that quote specifically, the larger video of the round table, he was like talking about legacy titles or whatever, like or titles that have a legacy on other platforms. I can't see a world where they're like, all right, freaking the next Doom game is only on Xbox. I can't see that happening. But I can see them being like Starfield, that video game that doesn't have a foothold in the industry at all. It's this brand new IP, exclusive to Xbox. I can see that, for sure.
I mean, and the other side,
and I can see some other games like Dishonored. I can see them being like exclusive on Xbox.
The other thing, obviously, that they and Bethesda obviously is pretty broad in the things that they were doing. Like they they own several other studios. Like
I was laughing at that, and because again I watched the round table, and they were like, there's so many different games that we're getting here, from RPGs to shooters, period. And I was like, that's everything that you guys do. Like that's the whole thing.
That's so funny. So, and the other part of this that they obviously say is exclusive to places where Game Pass exists. So the speculation I've seen elsewhere is, what if this is to try to leverage Game Pass? There's extra incentive to try to get Game Pass on other platforms. And I mean, I could definitely see that be the case. From everything we've heard, it still sounds like Xbox is the ones pursuing other companies to try to get Game Pass on there and not the other way around. And that Nintendo and Sony so far have been hard pressed to actually do that from everything we've actually seen on the front end.
Why would they? Like,
really,
it's one of those things that, like, we feel like it's like, do this for us or whatever. It's favorite to your user base. Like, they would make money from it, obviously. But they're going to make significantly more money if they just focus on their own thing. And I've seen a lot where people are like, why would they put Game Pass on there? That's just taking money away from the companies that, like, that game also exists on their platforms. I don't know if that's true. Because if they really wanted to and they really felt that way, they could just be like, okay, Game Pass except for the games that we have on our platform, already. Or
because they're already split up by
there's
different things anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like
And
there's
yeah,
PC
because
Game Pass,
even
there's mobile
within
Game
that,
Pass.
like when they announced all the Bethesda games that are coming to Game Pass, it's like Xbox PC Cloud, right?
Yep.
There's some games that aren't coming to Xbox, but they're coming to PC and cloud, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yep.
So I could see that being the case, but also a stat from Microsoft themselves is how many people use Game Pass as a demo platform, where they're like, all right, I'm going to try this game here, and then I'm going to buy it on whatever platform I want to buy it on. I could see people try it on Switch, on Game Pass, and still buy it on Switch. On Switch.
No, for sure.
You know,
I mean, I could see it, like, you know, take Dragon Quest 11S or something like that. Like, it's on Game Pass right now. It's 100-hour it's 100-hour RPG. Easily, you could start that game, and then they decide to take it off, you know, like, we'll take it off in a month, and you're like, I don't have 100 hours within this next month to finish this game. So then you go buy it, you know, like, I think that kind of thing. Or even just, it's a more what's the word I'm looking for, a more perpetual game that you're going to want to play for a long time that doesn't have a specific end, then you go buy it, or you pick it up when it's on sale or something like that. I mean, and I think,
and Game Pass also, for most games that I've seen, I don't know if it's a universal thing, having Game Pass affords you the ability to buy games cheaper. Like, games that are on Game Pass are usually discounted if you have Xbox Live. So
I haven't bought a single game outside of just using Game Pass on my Xbox, so I haven't
either. But I've clicked in where it's like, buy this game, and then it's like, it's $15 off or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think if that is the case, that they're trying to use this as a bargaining chip, it'll be a while before that's a valuable bargaining chip. Like, we'll have to see.
Yeah, they got to buy 3 more multi-billion-dollar companies.
I mean, or even just within Bethesda, like, it would have to be shown, like, this game is only coming to Game Pass, and there would have to be this huge hubbub that, like, I don't know that would happen.
I don't know if that matters for Nintendo. Like, that's a PlayStation worry for them. But
I mean,
Nintendo, it's like, we didn't have your games for the past 4 generations anyway, so we don't need them now. You know, like that. That sort of thing.
I think Elder Scrolls 6 would be a pretty strong example. Like, if that was one that they decided as a specific move, we're just making that Game Pass and Xbox and PC exclusive or whatever, that's a pretty strong move as far as trying to get Game Pass on PlayStation, if that's still what their goal is. But
honestly, games like Elder Scrolls and Fallout, Doom is one where I'm like, I can't, there's no way. But Elder Scrolls and Fallout, I could see them just moving to Xbox, because both of those games have a long history of not working as well on PlayStation. So, like, it could literally just be like, whether it be the mods thing or like weird optimization stuff or whatever, they could be like, hey, we tried, or they don't even have to say, it's just a long history of this game not working well on that platform. So I could see them be like, nah, not those ones. But
no, honestly, Bethesda with Xbox is a very good fit. It makes sense. Yeah.
Especially for Windows, like, because it's Windows. So for, even if it's not even an Xbox thing, it's like most people play this on PC anyway. So
people playing that on PC. NVIDIA does PC stuff. They also make the Tegra chips that the Switch uses. And apparently, I didn't read this article in full beforehand. I just grabbed it because it was interesting. But this is just to kind of back up some more of what we were talking about what you guys were talking about and I wasn't last week with the
you're talking about it in spirit.
Switch Pro. I was talking about it in spirit. So apparently NVIDIA is going to stop producing the Tegra X1 Mariko chip, which is the newer X1 that the updated Switch is using.
It's the battery boost one.
Yep. So I'll read the article until we get enough information. NVIDIA, the company which produces Tegra X1 Mariko system on a chip that powers both the Switch and Switch Lite, is reportedly bringing production of the SoC to an end this year, fueling more speculation that the Switch Pro is on the way. The news comes from Game Reactor, which has spoken to a source close to the matter. The source claims production on the Tegra X1 Mariko will end in 2021, but did not elaborate on what chip would be replacing it in Nintendo's supply chain. it's fair to assume that Nintendo will ensure it has a healthy stockpile of Tegra X1 Mariko chips prior to production coming to a close. But does that beg the question? If this report is true and Nintendo thinks the Switch is only halfway through its lifespan, what happens beyond this year? Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
I don't know if this means anything for the Switch, at least in the immediate future, because first of all,
what do you count as the immediate future, just for context?
Immediate future being like the next 2 years, because sometime this year could literally mean December 31st, 11:59 p.m. Freaking Pacific Standard Time. And they could have enough stockpiled chipsets to manufacture the next 40 million plus Switch units, right? So who cares? You know, like I think that it's pretty unlikely that we won't see some sort of upgrade within that time frame, but so I don't think that this confirms anything. Because like it was already assumed, like the only question mark is like, is Switch Pro coming this year? You know, eventually they're going to cut the cord. So like them ending production on it is really just NVIDIA saying, hey, Nintendo, get your orders in. You know, it's like,
I think the only thing this means to me, because I think, like you said, it doesn't have a specific impact. Like even if this was confirmed as true, which it's just speculate, or it's a rumor right now. So like, but even if it was confirmed as true, it doesn't mean anything for timing because they can just buy as many as will be made. I mean, there's
and we don't even know how many, what stockpile they currently have.
Right, exactly.
Because whenever people hear like, oh, this console's in production or whatever, the first thing that goes in their head is like, oh my God, I'll never be able to buy this console. But there's hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of consoles on store shelves that just were unsold and they're just sitting there, dude. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I could walk into a GameStop tomorrow and be like, yo, go in the back of your store and get me a Wii U. Like,
I think so. The only thing this means to me is just the confirmation, or rumored confirmation that that the new Nintendo Switch, which is that's the side that I'm leaning on, that they're just going to go with the same naming conventions as the 3DS. Like I feel like they liked the way the 3DS went and iterated.
The new Nintendo 3DS.
So new Nintendo Switch, and probably like a Switch XL or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe just the new Nintendo Switch XL. Like that's a little bit of a mouthful, but so is so much other stuff that they do. So I think the only thing it means that's nice is that that would have a new chip and that they're not just using the same one. That still doesn't say how much more powerful it is, what else it's going to do, blah, blah, any of that kind of stuff. But like, I do believe that we're, in the halfway point ish of the Switch. And I don't believe, right. I mean, like, I don't, cause if we weren't, and we're towards the end of it somehow, then this could mean they're working on a chip for the next gen. I don't think that's true. We're in the middle of the lifespan. No. And so that just means that like there will be something that has a new chip between now and the next gen, and that's cool. That's it.
I feel like a lot of people are just they're projecting. They're like, I'm pretty much done with this. Like technologically, or not done with the Switch, but like technologically they feel like it's time for the Switch to move on, but the market, it's like, Switch just came out, dude. Like I just saw the thing. I mean, we'll get to it with the MPD. But there was this thing about like, the PlayStation 5 best-selling console or fastest-selling console now or whatever, right? And then there's like all this discourse where it's like, it costs more, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, but the PS5 is out of storage. Like you can't find it anywhere. And then they're like, there was never a time where you could never find the Switch. I'm like, literally
last year,
3 years in, you couldn't find a Switch anywhere. So it's like, it's still selling like crazy. They're still selling pretty much everyone that they can make. It's just not supply constrained in the sense where it's like we can't keep up with this. We can manufacture enough where the ones we make sell, and we have a buffer for when more people are ready to buy more. So I think that this for them is like the Switch is still young. We still haven't even had an official price drop yet, and we're still breaking our own Nintendo Switch specific records. There's no reason to deprecate this at all because they still have that in the chamber. They're still like, all right, our sales start to slow down. $250. What's up? You know, like
yeah. So that's that. New stuff, you know. But yeah, and speaking of the NPD, like you said, we got NPD. Number one game for February of 2020 is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, which doesn't even include the digital copies, which like
none of Nintendo stuff on NPD does.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's saying a lot, honestly, that it's a port. I mean, a port with a new mode in there, new game in there, but still like doesn't include the digital. Like that's it. I mean, it's not like there's looking at the rest of the list. Persona 5 Strikers was another new game that month. Little Nightmares 2. There weren't that many new games that were contending with it, but I mean, still like selling more than Call of Duty is a thing, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, good job, 3D World, you know. And
nice. I'm not too surprised by that. Strikers is on there. That's another game that's also on the Switch. I saw somebody was talking about Miles Morales being on there, and they were saying like it's been top 4 since it launched, and that is like a thing. I know people throw that out with ARMS all the time, where it's like that's like it's like one of the only games or whatever. But like Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is one of the games, right? Like ARMS was never positioned as like every Switch owner buy this video game. It's like it's a thing. It's out. If you want it, you get it. But Marvel Spider-Man is literally in every marketing thing for PlayStation 5 as like it's Demon Souls or this game. Pick it up. You know, it's like so of course, duh. That would be like Breath of the Wild. Like, of course, that's going to be in the top 5 for the next 3 years or whatever, right? Like, that's the video game that you buy.
I mean, but it is because it's Breath of the Wild, you know? Just saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there's some other stuff in here. We kind of mentioned some of it, but yeah, Nintendo Switch was the best-selling hardware platform, both in units and dollars in February. Units and dollar sales of Nintendo Switch hardware in February were the highest for any hardware platform in a February month since the Nintendo Wii in February 2009.
Yeah, but the Switch, it's it's near the end of its life cycle. It's on death's door.
So sad to see it happen. Yeah, total lifetime dollar sales of Switch hardware now exceed the Nintendo DS in the US, making Switch the Nintendo's second best-selling platform in US tracked history. Nintendo Wii ranks first. Switch is currently the 7th best-selling hardware platform in lifetime US dollar sales. Yeah,
it's crazy that
they probably want to wind it down. You know,
when Nintendo was like, we're aiming for Wii-like profits and sales figures, people are like, you're crazy. That's never going to happen. But now it's like, are they going to pass DS? It's like, you know, like that's not. If somebody said that like definitively. Even I would be like in 2017 if they're like, oh, definitely it's going to pass DS. I'm like, I don't know about that. But now if they're like, it's definitely passing DS, I'm like, you might be on to something. Like,
I mean, I think it really like the only factors that make a difference that like that will turn the tide one way or another are, do they move on to the next platform at some point? And if they do, does the new platform replace it?
Is it the game? Is it the Game Boy Color? You know, like that sort of situation.
Yeah, that part. Does the new platform count still as the thing? On the other hand, does it replace it? In which case, people will stop buying a Switch because they will now buy this thing instead. Right. Or is it? I mean, which arguably, like that's the thing with the PlayStation 2. It still sold super, super well, and that's why it is the best-selling console of all time. It sold super well for like 3 years after the PlayStation 3 came out because A, cheap DVD player, and B, people didn't want to buy the PlayStation 3 because it's so expensive.
Exactly. I think more so as that. Like I couldn't see that scenario really happening with Switch unless they like deeply discounted it. If they're like, all right, the swap is out, now the Switch is $100. I could see them getting another 20 million units off of that. But I can't imagine them selling a whole lot, or that like the new platform being, or Switch's momentum being like kneecapped
Yeah.
by you know what I'm saying, the other way around.
No, right,
I can't
exactly.
I can't see people not buying the swap because the Switch is still out, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah. Other
that the
than
new
unless
platform, unless it's like vastly different and people
Mhm,
don't really like the new pitch that Nintendo's making,
mhm.
the new thing's going to replace the Switch, and
The
they're
only
going to
way that I could
continue
see that
momentum.
not be or see the two live side by side fairly well for a little while is if they can pitch it, yeah, as the cheaper kid
Yeah,
console,
as the
and
3DS.
like you said, and then also maintain some kind of like good connectivity between the two, where like you can play a game on, you know, the family has a swap, the kids each have a Switch, you can play
Yeah.
games together like multiplayer with all of them.
We bought a
Honestly,
new
like,
generation iPad. That's
yeah, right,
I think that
exactly.
that's what they need to do with this. And I think,
Yep.
I mean, they've been saying forever that that's what they want to do with
Yeah.
it. And I think that that's what the the Nvidia
Mhm.
partnership is about,
Yeah.
is the ability to like seamlessly move forward. And at the very least
Uh-huh.
have not forward, like backward compatibility, and
Mhm.
in like essence forward compatibility, not necessarily like
Right.
games wise, but like the systems can talk to each other.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Where like, yeah, at this point, if you have an iPhone 6, you probably can't use some of the things on iPhone 6 anymore. But it's iPhone 13 is out now, right? And like you
Yeah.
can still use the 7 forward. Like that's, even though it wasn't specifically like on the iPhone 7, let's make sure we can do like they've worked so that it is
Yeah,
kind of forward
like
compatible. Yeah, exactly.
my iPhone freaking 12 is
Yeah.
still in essence my iPhone 3GS, because
Yeah.
I've never had to like, all right, time to like
Hmm.
start from scratch. It's
Yeah.
literally just, oh, I buy a new phone, I
Hmm.
connect to iCloud, or I
Hmm.
plug it into my
So
computer.
that's,
Everything's on
yeah,
there. I'm good.
that's the thing. If they can make this the like new Nintendo Switch be necessity, sort of in the same way, not an actual necessity where like you need to upgrade, but like
It
where people see all
feels
the
like
benefits
that.
and it
Yeah.
feels like, wow, I could really benefit from this upgrade.
Hmm.
Then I mean that, you know, that's a ton of sales right there, because that's just
Right.
people that feel like they want to upgrade. And I think the last thing that would really keep sales up is just keeping like relevant, big, important games all throughout the lifespan, you know. Like PS4 had one of its best years in its last year, you know, and that
Yeah.
was just because it had a lot of games that people had been waiting for a long time. Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, whatever else came out last year, I don't remember.
uh Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So with a lot of those things, you know, if it can make sure that its sunset years are strong years, then those are things where like, yeah, it could hit the DS. You know, if it's got 8 years and it's halfway there now, why not?
Yeah, it's like I can see
Yep.
it. I can see it.
And why not answer the questions from your video or the comments from your video?
It's
Why
true.
not? You know, I
Why
say we
not?
do. I say we should do it.
I think
That's
we
what I
should.
think. So let's do it. You made a video about Pyra and Mithra in
I
Smash.
did.
Any thoughts before we get into these?
It's unfortunate, dude. It's unfortunate because I knew that it was like a video that was like it's too specific for our audience
Mm,
specifically. But I was
mm-hmm,
hoping the YouTube algorithm would be like, a Pyramithra video?
mm-hmm.
Dope. You know, let's use this and send it out to Smash Brothers players or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a good test because like pretty much every every comment was like either the end video challenge, so it's like people watch it all the way through, or it's
Mm-hmm.
like people that, again, I can tell watch it all the way through because the end thing, and
Yeah.
they're like, I watched it because I want to hear you talk about it. Like I don't give a crap
Yeah.
about what you're saying, but like you're the one saying it, so I'm watching. So
Yeah.
that's a good test, I guess.
Uh-huh. Which thank you everybody for
Thank you very much
for caring, you
for
know.
letting me talk about the thing that I was most passionate about this week. I
Yeah,
can't not talk about this.
it's true. Ian Pittman said, please, Galarian Pokemon trainer. That would be epic. But which forms of the Pokemon? Also oranges.
I will repeat again for the uninitiated. It needs to be Score Bunny,
Mm-hmm.
Drizzile,
Mm-hmm.
Rillaboom, because that would be the most interesting combination of the three, I think. Because like we don't really have a grass type, or we don't straight up, we don't have a grass type final evolution Pokemon in the video game. So Rillaboom, I think, would fit that well. You know, like he's bipedal, so it's like they don't really have to like try to figure out like how do we do like a heavy freaking quadruped in this game. You know, like Ivysaur was already Ivysaur at first was like weird. It was like first thing that's not just on 2 feet with a sword, you know, like that sort of situation. Then they did Duck Hunt Dog, and that was like, okay, well, we're done with like that being weird. We can add a new character that's like that. And even then it's still kind of weird to have a character that's not bipedal. So for them to just do the final evolution, it'd be a big, heavy monkey man, I think just makes sense. Drizzile, more so for diversity amongst like the Pokemon trainers in this scenario, because it's like I don't think it would be as interesting to just have the same lineup of like first evolution being the water type, second evolution being the grass, you know, because then they could just copy paste the move set basically, and that's boring. And do the whole like faster but weaker, or you know, like that thing. But I think doing the Galarian Pokemon trainer like this would make Galarian Pokemon the most different they could possibly be from the original Pokemon trainer. I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
That would be sick.
Yeah. Andrew C. Apples B. There you go.
Incorrect. I said you'll be judged. I'm judging you. Wrong.
Pat Green said our favorite topic, pears.
I'll let this one slide. This is okay.
Corey D. I enjoy listening. Apples because there's many different flavors. I love apple pies.
That's fair, but you're still incorrect.
Common Boy said the correct answer is clearly oranges.
Common Boy knows what's up.
There you go.
Common Boy knows.
Kensworth said for eating straight, oranges 100%. For juice drinking, I like both, but apple takes the win.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Apple juice is only for 4-year-olds.
Okay, so I'll chime in here. I think orange juice generally like it's more like narrow, like there's not really bad orange juice and really good orange juice that I've experienced. It's just all within the same. For me,
apples like in juice form is like entirely apple cider. Like apple juice is like not on any parts of that. Apple cider though, that's pretty good. Apple juice, nah.
So there's like, So I really like when I lived in Europe, apple juice there was typically more like sour. Like it had some Granny Smith in there and stuff too, and it was like. And just like it wasn't Mott's artificial juice flavored juice, you know, which 100% kids drink and gross. So that's the thing with apple juice. I feel like there's a huge range of like apple juice can be just awful. But it also like one time I was with some people on like a youth trip thing or whatever, and we were having to do a scavenger hunt around the town. And we passed an apple orchard at some point, which we didn't expect to pass. And I don't think there was a scavenger hunt thing there. I think we were just like, let's go there. They have they had a little like, you know, office place or a storefront or something like that. And we went up there and we bought some apple juice from their orchard. And it was the best apple juice I've had in my life. And it was so good. So I'll say apple juice is best at its best. But if it's like, cheap orange juice or cheap apple juice, cheap orange juice.
But I don't even know if that's fair, because like there's still possibility for there to be orange juice that is like the best that you've ever had.
Yeah, but like I haven't even had orange juice that's close, you know, like even like really fancy orange juice that like fancy orange juice has pulp in it, and that makes it worse for me. So like you know what I'm saying? Like
fair.
As it gets better for some people, it gets a little worse for me.
Gotcha.
But good stuff. F-Zero Kid, I only watched the video because you. Really? But Smash.
No, it checks out. It checks out because Falcon doesn't care about the DLC characters.
Makes sense. I see you. Also, I prefer oranges. However, I feel apples are more versatile.
That wasn't the question, Falcon. I don't care about that.
With the stuff thing. I definitely prefer apples over oranges personally, but
no, you're incorrect. You're wrong.
just saying.
Wrong. I didn't say which is better, freaking orange marmalade or apple pie. I said what is better, oranges period in the form of being an orange, or apples period in the form of being an apple. That's what I asked.
It's apples. It's apples.
Apples suck in comparison to oranges.
I mean, the problem is there's like 3 different kinds of oranges in my mind, and that includes cuties and tangerines. So like, whereas apples, there's some garbage apples, like Red Delicious, worse
yeah,
thing.
like there's like
no
entire categories of apples, most of them I would argue, where I'm just like, I don't want any of that. There's like freaking 30,000 different types of apples. I like 4 of them maybe. Like, but there's not an orange like category that I'm like, this is gross, I don't like it, I don't want anything to do with this. All of them are like, it's pretty good, at least. Like,
all right. Pac Blixie says, I'm completely uninterested and just watched this video because I enjoy listening to you talk.
Nice.
Also, I think Dr. Eggman and either Dante or Shantae are the final fighters.
Yo, Dr. Eggman would be wild. That would be crazy. Also, Dr. Eggman I had a visceral reaction to that. It just seems wrong. And Dante, no, I'm not allowing that. I'm not allowing it. Because the memers don't deserve it.
Last comment, Alec said, "Gah, apples are more versatile, but
not the question.
Are so delicious." Apples. Sorry, orange juice.
No, man, this is wrong. This is incorrect. You're wrong, because that's not the question I asked.
Oh man, what a time! Good stuff. You made a good video. It was fun to hear you talk about Fire and Mithra.
I was like, there was a moment in the script where I was like, man, I care so much more about this aspect of it than literally anything else, because I could have made a more marketable vid of like, hey man, Pyro and Mithra are really fun, everybody, you should play them whether you're a super casual or like, but I was like, no, the Switch stuff is so much more interesting. Like there's so much stuff in this that like I know, like I talk about this all the time, where there's like stuff that I feel like everybody knows, like everybody knows how retro got founded, like that sort of thing. Right, yeah. But this was the thing I was like, I know that even multiple hardcore Smash Brothers players don't know the ins and outs of like Pokemon Trainer Switch and how that compares to Pyra and Mithra's Switch. And I just felt like that was more interesting to talk about. So that's what I doubled down on.
It works. Maybe in 4 years, YouTube will be like, hey,
this video
randomly show this video.
Exactly. I think that this video will eventually be another Hunger Games video, and it will annoy me, but any port in a storm, I guess.
Yeah. All right. And now some comments from the video that I made, which this is going to be interesting.
This video was like a thing where it's like we're trying to where you were trying to do like the co-op video thing. I'm like, how would
I think honestly in retrospect the best way would have been
like reading through the script was like, there's so many things where it's like, and AJ thinks, and then you said the thing that I think, and I didn't feel the need to correct what you said. I was like, yeah, that checks out, other than the clarification that I brought up in the thing. So I was like, there's no point in me being like, yes, I agree with the thing that I said before.
In retrospect,
this thought.
I think the best way to do it would have been, instead of having those bits, just have you talk about those things in that segment.
Yeah, because I think that's like, because I talked about before to you, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast, where it's like, ideally we make the videos where it's like they're fine on their own, we don't need to be in it, but if the other person can be in it, or like that would make the video better, it needs to be like defined pockets where that would complete the video in a sense, right? Like the video would be fine without it, but the video will be enhanced dramatically with it in there, right? It would be like me making a video about Nintendo's RPGs, but not putting Golden Sun in there, right? Like the video could exist without Golden Sun being in there, because I can be like, these are the ones I care about. But Golden Sun being in there would make the video more complete.
Yes,
I think that's the rationale behind
Golden Sun makes us all complete. That's what you're saying. It's
that's what I'm saying. Obviously,
so
obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and especially like some of the bits, it's tricky because it's like things that we've both talked about, but like especially if it's something that you've brought up first, and then it's like, yeah, I agree with that.
It's like, yep, that's
I'm
the thing I
always
said.
like, I'm like over give people credit sometimes in terms of like, I don't want somebody to think that I'm saying something that they've said. And okay, it goes back to this. I remember one time my best friend in high school was sitting next to me and at a like school assembly or something like that, like ninth grade, and something happened and I turned to him and I was like, Mama, right? About whatever was happening. And then he was like, oh, that's so funny. He immediately turned to the girl sitting next to him and went, Mama, now leave that, right? And I think, I mean, yeah, it didn't go over well anyway, but I was not happy with that. And so like
the camera panned to you, the background, freaking, there was a spotlight effect. Everything else went dark and in slow motion.
I never got my credits. Like,
and that was the moment that Parker turned into a supervillain.
Yeah,
we live in a society where we don't get our due diligence.
So yeah, I give credit for a lot of things where it's like, I mean, I kind of had thought of that myself, but I was like, but AJ said it out loud first, so I'm definitely gonna give credit. So in any case, lots of good stuff. The comment section of this video already, it's funny because like I intentionally took a pretty backed off stance because that's how I feel about a lot of this stuff. It's like it's
whereas
hard,
me
it's
on the other hand, and that's another part of this. Whereas like me on the other hand, I'm like, no, you're all dumb because this is the thing. Like, right. And it's not even, again, like something I talked about before. It's not about making Pokemon more for me. Right. Really, yeah. It's making Pokemon more consistent. Right. Like if Pokemon is like this and every other property, but in this one specific instance, it's not, something needs to be, reconfigured. Yeah. Which that's usually my main goal. It's I try not to do the whole thing of like make the game for me, because I don't even know what that is. Like I don't even know what a Pokemon game that would be just for me is, because I like Pokemon and the way that it exists, but I want it to be consistent in the way it exists.
Yep. So I think the interesting thing about that, of like me kind of having a more step back approach, was several comments I can tell that it either did the Phil Spencer thing where both sides agreed,
took like a inkling
like,
of what you said,
that's
and
right.
ran with it.
He is agreeing with me, but then on the other hand, people on both sides also saw something I said, was like, you're wrong because of this. Right. And I'm like, no, but I also said, so it's just funny to see that.
It works for engagement.
It does. Yeah. There was some good, there was some interesting comments of like somebody that went down and responded to everybody else's comments and was like, you're being toxic and you need to stop being toxic. And I'm like,
the irony.
You're kind of being toxic right now, but I'm not going to say anything. So like, whatever, have a good old day. So it's just funny. In any case, but I picked some comments that I thought, like, a lot of these are regulars anyway, because you guys just write great stuff.
Just be killing it, man.
For example, Seven, a classic, says, my favorite aspect of Pokemon is the Pokemon. I like building a bond with my team and feeling like we've been through a lot together. I personally wouldn't have a cat today if I hadn't seen Team Rocket's Meowth when I was 5 and decided he's my new best friend. I like the cute and cool creatures, and I want the game to have greater interactivity with them to make me feel like I'm engaging with a living being instead of telling some stats to lower some other stats.
Yes.
For me, Pokemon has been both a single player and multiplayer experience in different stages of my life. So I guess I agree with you, Parker, in that Pokemon means different things to different people at different times. And for what it personally means to me is always changing. Right now, it means a place to go home to when the outside world gets too scary.
Yeah, I agree with this. And it touches on what I was saying, where it's like, I take issue with that wording where it's different things to different people, because that implies that it's different things to Pokemon, and it's not.
Right.
Like
it's not.
Those things simultaneously exist together. I think people got real offended by the whole thing of like Pokemon, like the single player tutorial thing, where it's like, effectively, that's what it is. Like, that's not me telling you how to experience Pokemon. That's me telling you on a design design level,
Right.
this is what it's designed like, especially in Sword and Shield, where it's like this is the Pokemon world, and this is how you engage with the Pokemon world. Now you're done with your trial journey. Go forth.
I mean, especially by contrast now of having Legends Arceus, theoretically, that seems to be, and there's a comment that points this out later, I think too, that seems to be a pretty specifically single player focused game, which is like looks different than the rest of their games, or especially than like Sword and Shield in that kind of respect. So yeah, they definitely, I think, what it means to them, I think they're trying to, like we've all said before, trying to approach all the different angles of it, but at the same time,
and that's the thing. Like, I don't even know if that's true. Like, I don't know if Legends Arceus is them trying to like speak directly to that audience, and more so them stacking their deck. I genuinely think that Legends Arceus is a stopgap. It's like, this is something that we're doing to get our ducks in a row and test the waters on like, what do you care about? How much will a story focused Pokemon game sell? Because then if this sells a lot, we'll put more story into the mainline games. Rather than, oh, this sold a lot, so we'll just do story in Legends Arceus, and then the mainline game, like, I think that's diluting their main bread and butter. Because Legends Arceus, I highly doubt is going to sell anywhere near as like a Pokemon sword. Well, obviously, I mean, it's not going to happen because there's two games, so they can't really do the like Sword and Shield thing. Like, it's not going to sell that much. But even if it sells enough to be like, oh, this sold 15 million, it's more than, Let's Go Pokemon Pikachu and Eevee or whatever, or more than XD and Coliseum. I don't think that that's going to tell them like, oh, we need to make more Legends games. Again, not to say that they wouldn't. I think it just tells them like, oh, okay, people care more about the lore and the world and the story and all that stuff. So let's incorporate more of that into the game. I think that the best case scenario for this, if they do say, okay, we want to make this like a thing now, like how people want them to make Let's Go a thing, because that has its own value, right? Where it's like, okay, this is our onboarding series. I think Arceus has potential to be their Hyrule Warriors, where it's like, okay, now we can use this to tell stories in a way that doesn't really fit in the mainline games. Rather than their approach being like, oh, now we can use this to speak directly to our single player Pokemon fans,
I could definitely see that. It's hard to like fully say until it comes out and we see what all it is, but I mean, generally,
because for all we know, it could still be could be a multiplayer game,
right? And that's the thing is like, how much, and that'll especially show us if this game still has multiplayer in it, more than like maybe some local co-op that you could do or something along those lines, like a minimal, like what Nintendo sometimes does with
I think if anything,
like a Mario Galaxy kind of multiplayer,
right?
If there's anything more than that, then it really hammers home that they do think that Pokemon is by its nature multiplayer first and foremost. Like, that's just beyond a shadow of a doubt,
I can't see a universe where at the very least this game isn't multiplayer by way of trading.
Yes.
I can't see a universe. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Pokemon Home, but what about Pokemon Home? Like, Pokemon Home is probably not going to be compatible with this. I doubt that. I think that this is going to be compatible with Pokemon Home, and that in and of itself, I think, makes it a multiplayer game. But
I think that would say as much as far, like, in terms of like it's
like the battling,
its impact on
their
right.
But even that, I think, because the battling system is the same. It looks like all of
they also do say ARPG
like,
some places though, so like that's the weird thing. It's like,
but I think that they like straight up say action RPG. It's an Pokemon Legends Arceus is an action RPG. Blah blah.
I guess they just mean because you're running around and then when you throw
I think it's the
overworld
or the open world overworld situation,
right?
Where it's like, oh shoot, I gotta, and I say quotes in overworld because it's like seamless. It's like, oh, I'm battling the thing, and like I didn't transition into a different scene.
I mean, in their mind, then they would consider Dragon Quest XI-S an action RPG.
And that's what I think. That's what it looks like. Because like,
from what we've seen so
Sword
far,
and Shield, they were more cagey about showing the the UI. They didn't like
Uh-huh.
immediately say, here's the UI. So there was like room to be like, is it,
Yeah.
you know, is it an action? But this game, they just straight up were like, it's the same thing. Here it
Mhm.
is. You know, it's a regular Pokemon game.
Yeah.
So I think even that again is like these Pokemon, assuming that they do Pokemon Home and they do all that stuff, you're going to be battling with these Pokemon at one
Mhm.
point or another. You're still doing the competitive battling within the game. It's just maybe confined to the AI within the
Mhm.
game until new games that support, or older games that support the Pokemon that you put in the home are able
Mhm.
to, you know, facilitate them or whatever.
Yeah. The other thing I want to touch on from Seven's comment before I move on from it is the whole like caring about your Pokemon and like interacting with them. That was something actually that made me fall off of Pokemon Go. The first round that I was playing it was I was really sick of the like, oh, I nicknamed my Squirtle because I'm so happy that I finally got this Squirtle, and then you
And
catch
then you caught
50 more
30
Squirtles,
more. Yeah, exactly.
and
Yep.
then like that just feels
It's like my Squirtle doesn't matter anymore.
yeah, exactly. It was, it's about getting a Squirtle with the highest number associated with it or whatever, which like at some point, like now that you can appraise your Pokemon pretty easily and find out their stats and stuff, like there can be a bit more of that where it's like, this is the one I'm investing in, whatever. But even then, like if you get a 3-star, that's like not perfect IVs.
Pokemon,
like,
Pokemon Go Pokemon are numbers to me. They're literally just
100%.
numbers.
And that's like and definitely different games have more or less of that. Pokemon Go having the most for sure, and like Pikachu in Pokemon Yellow having the least by far. Where like you can't evolve him, you can't, and you talk to him and he doesn't, annoying things sometimes, whatever. Like that's great. But yeah, more of that kind of thing.
I was like, screw this.
It was, I thought it was a nuisance when I was a kid. I was like, I mean, I always kept Pikachu on my team, but whenever he was sad, because I didn't understand that like whiting out was gonna make him sad. And stuff.
I've never seen him be sad past the beginning of the game.
I mean, as playing it later, definitely not. But the first time I played it, I mean, as like a 8-year-old or whatever, I was like,
I know. I get that. I'm saying I've never seen, because when I was like young and first playing it, I traded my Pikachu. I didn't care. I didn't care about him. I got Charizard.
Definitely kept him on the team.
And then once I got older, or I had him on my team, but he wasn't a Pikachu anymore. Like he wasn't following me because my mom made me trade him back.
Yep.
But I never saw that ever. Yep. I didn't even know that he could like hate you again.
Oh yeah, I mean he was the first Pokemon with friendship and stuff associated, so that was the thing. But great comment. Yeah. Moving on, and all these comments are super interesting. Some of them might be a little divisive with us. I don't think this is one, but I don't remember off the top of my head. But in any case, Chronically Cal wrote, I think my opinion on Pokemon is shaped a lot by the fact that even though I know the games came first, I think of it more as a multimedia franchise than a game series. I was first exposed to Pokemon via the card game. My first engagement with it was with books. Even today, I have a nephew who collects cards but hasn't played the games, a sister who watches the anime but doesn't play the games, a brother-in-law who played the old games and returned for Sword and Shield, and me, who's invested most in the new/upcoming games since I missed out on the old ones. Knowing that all other Pokemon products stem from the games, the short dev cycles with slow, iterative progress makes a lot of sense to me. It may not be what's best for producing the highest quality games, but I can see how it would be best for Pokemon as an overall franchise. And the Pokemon Company, and by extension Game Freak, need to account for all of it, in my opinion.
Yes. I've spoken to this exactly. Because Pokemon has pretty much always been a multimedia thing for me. Like I don't even remember what part of Pokemon I discovered first. Like it all blurs together for me. It's like, and that's largely
TV show for me.
To my to my personality. Like I'm just the type of person that's like, once I like something, You're in. Yeah. I'm in, dude. I freaking saw I think it might have been the Pokemon anime, because I remember I was like, I don't know, I was like over my babysitter's house or something, and I saw her kids watching Pokemon. I was like, yo, this is sick. What is this? And they're like, this is Pokemon. I'm like, dope. I'm going to my dad immediately when I get home, and we're going to Target or whatever, right? And like got all the other things, got the cards, got the games, got plushies, got all that stuff, right? So it's like it might have been the anime that brought me in, but there was no one thing that I was like, yo, I love the games more. I probably love the games, or not. I interface with the games most because that's the medium that I prefer generally.
And
but
that
it's
you
probably
can
the
actually
medium that
interface
I
with
prefer.
most at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's probably the medium for Pokemon that I prefer the least.
Yeah.
Like with probably the least being TCG, since I don't really engage with that playing it. But out of the anime and the mangas and stuff like that, because I think that the world is better realized in those than it is in the games.
It is funny. I'm thinking back.
A thing of like, these games are so behind the gaming industry and the graphics and I don't care about that. It's just the approach to the games is like, it just isn't consistent with them.
I mean, it's kind of, as far as like when we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, talking about media franchises and them representing their world and stuff like that, and having a bigger world to like, that's something that's Pokemon isn't always consistent at, and especially in the games at actually doing.
And the thing that's wild to me is like, they're very consistent, but the games aren't. The games are not consistent. Because even if you look at like the manga and the anime, and then like other instances of the anime, like Pokemon Origins and Generations and stuff like that, they all depict, even the card game to some extent, all depicts Pokemon battles as like this super frenetic thing, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I take my turn, you take your turn, attack does thing. Maybe it misses, like that's the one variable that's like, maybe you didn't hit. But in the anime and in the other mediums, card game notwithstanding, because you can't really do that in the card game, it's not just do thunder. It's like freaking jump off the wall, kick that rock, thunderbolt it, and then look your opponent deep in its soul, and then your opponent will do whatever. It's like, no, don't look at him, turn around. Like Pokemon is much more in the other mediums than Thunderbolt, protect, tackle,
Man, I'm with you. I was gonna say something before, but I truly don't remember what it is. But Pokemon and all that stuff.
Pokemon.
No one wants to. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Quickly, first thing for me was anime, but I remember, like I said earlier, my first card was, I went to a friend's house, or actually I didn't even barely know him at the time. They were like family friends, but he showed me his cards and he gave me a Magnemite. And thinking back now, I remember my mom was really worried when I was like a year or two later, I had a whole bunch of Pokemon cards, and kids at school would come up to me and be like, hey, I only have this many Pokemon cards. Can I have some of yours? And I give them some, and she was worried that I'd like get into drugs and stuff because I had a hard time saying no. Which is very like, what a reach for a mom. But
that's a
whatever.
A deep cut.
But like she had to tell me like, you can say no. And like, I understood that. And I was like, yeah, I know I can say no. But I'm realizing now it was probably the fact that like my first card was just a friend or some kid I barely knew that gave me a card and was like, I'm introducing you to this thing.
He
and
set the standard. He was, you were like, oh, this is what Pokemon is. We just give things to people here.
so that was,
which isn't wrong. It's not wrong. Freaking, you walk into people's houses and take their stuff in Pokemon all the time.
Man, when I had that realization, I tweeted something last week or something like, man, RPGs, you just straight up go to people's houses.
Yeah, I know. When you freaking besmirched this brand, when you did that, somebody said that, like, I'm surprised you didn't say anything about Parker. And I was like, damn it. I was like, I forgot.
Wait, what? I'm confused.
That on your video, that they're like, I'm surprised you didn't say anything, like AJ didn't say anything about, or I'm surprised you let him make the video or something like that after the Weedle thing. I was like, that should have been my contribution to this video. I'm so mad. I should have made that contribution to the video and not told you. That's what should have been done.
I'll upload it. Yeah, no worries. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I'm gonna add my part right now.
Man, that's so funny. I forgot about that part of it. Moving on.
But even as a matter of fact, I wouldn't even have to do that. Like, I could just do the part and then send it back to you. And what were you going to do? Not upload it? You would have been laughing too. Like,
very true. All right. Next comment. I feel like this is maybe one of the ones that I feel like might be a bit more divisive, but I still thought was very well written. I refuse to be toxic and entitled. but I also will not shy away from being critical. So here's my reasonable take on Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I was expecting out of these remakes what we've gotten from previous remakes, a take on those past games with the current game's designs. I didn't fully expect 3D take on Diamond and Pearl. I expected the original layout to be done in the fixed camera design of Sword and Shield's fixed camera sections, make the layout less squared off than the original, and the underground cave to be more like the wild area with the free camera. The remakes, as they are, just aren't up to the standards set so far, which I think is reasonable to criticize for as long as it's in a healthy manner. I feel like outsourcing to a mobile game developer and going for lower standards than what Sword and Shield set, just I don't see why they couldn't see the writing on the wall. But I guess it needs to be done to focus entirely on Legends Arceus. I don't know. I wasn't there. And even with my disappointments, I'm still likely to pick up Shining Pearl anyway.
Yeah, I think this is all right. So the thing about like when people talk about what they prefer for a game and like all that stuff, I think that it like teeters this weird line of like what really is criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like thing. I prefer different thing. I don't know if that's criticism so much as it's
disappointment, like
exactly
reasonable disappointment. You know,
yeah, like I think like criticism would be something like the way that they aim to execute this thing.
Mm-hmm.
They fell short of that. That would be criticism. And I'm not saying that the what is happening here is not okay either. I just think that a lot of it, and I'm not saying that this is what you're specifically doing, but I think a lot of people use the term criticism as a shield, where they're like, I want to crap on the thing and be respected for it. So I'm going to make it sound like official and like well thought out, which this is well thought out. But I don't know if I would describe it as criticism. I think that it's hard for them to serve both masters on this. Because if people want them to move forward and move away from the treadmill that they're on, they need to make a change somewhere. And the place where they can make the change is in the remake. Because really the only thing that the remake needs to do to like be profitable and like marketable is be markedly different from the last game. So they're able to say, okay, here's our old target. How can we reach higher than this and use the least amount of resources so we can dedicate those resources to moving the franchise as a whole forward? Because they didn't want to do the same old. They want to do better in the future. And for them to be able to do better in the future, they need help there, right? And I don't think that a different team would have been able to just be like, hey, or I don't think it would have made a lot of sense for them to be like, hey, you know that game that everybody's crapping on the trees or whatever, let's put those same trees in Gen 4. You know, so it's just better for them to like artistically say like, this isn't the remakes that everybody expects or whatever. It's remakes, but they're faithful remakes, you know, like that whole thing, right? This is something different. And them doing Arceus is kind of like, or Arceus is them.
Oh yeah.
As them trying. I wasn't even thinking about that until literally just now.
I would never have, to be honest.
Like I think this is them trying to do both. Like they know that we expected them to do that, right? Like even I was talking about like, and granted, to be fair, I presented the opportunity. I mean, like the possibility of them not doing it, of them doing like maybe they do something closer to Let's Go or whatever, because we don't really know. But a lot of people did have that as an expectation for them to do the 3D. I mean the Sword and Shield engine or whatever. But I think that would have had its own wave of people complaining about it.
Yeah.
So I think that this is the best path forward in the long run, even if what they do from here on out is they say, okay, we have our new engine, we have an art style that everybody's happy with, we're going to now make Gen 5 remakes in this engine. If this is their way to like slowly onboard Ilka into being the team that works on that.
Yeah.
They got to start somewhere. And I don't think that them starting on a Gen 8 remake of Gen 4 is the best place to start them. I think that this is like a good starting point for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of, I agree. Like to pull back from, or to go back to some of the things I said in the video too, where like the iterative process, this gives them an opportunity to take a step out of incremental upgrades by doing Gen 8 and then Gen 4 and Gen 8, but a little bit better than that. And then Legends Arceus, whatever. And like this, it kind of helps to do a demake so that the next time there can be a bit bigger of a leap too. Like just marketing wise, if everything is too tonally similar, then like that's harder to market, and that's like harder to feel like there's progress being made. So the more different directions they go in, the easier it is, at least from a marketing standpoint, to be able to do that. So that's like, yeah. I mean, and also all the things you said too. Yeah. So, but that's it. Like the thing that I'm most curious about and like will maybe criticize will be like, how will this, outside of just graphically, in what ways will there be quality of life improvements or, any kinds of things like that compared to the original game? Like why is this game better than just playing Diamond and Pearl? And I think they just haven't shown us that stuff yet,
I think that for sure is going to be a thing that we will see. Like, I think there's very low possibility for that. My worry, same category, is if this feels like a step back from where we currently are gameplay wise. Like visually, I don't give a crap. I don't care. Pokemon has never been this thing that I'm like, yo, this is why I'm playing it, because it's phenomenally realized visually. Like I never cared about that end of it. But the gameplay of it, does the UI feel as snappy? Is it as easy to get from one place to another? Is it as easy to train my Pokemon and like that sort of thing? Like, are you reintroducing headaches that you grew past in previous games? Or are we still on that same wavelength? Because that's really my only expectation. Because inherently, if you just keep up with your progression from the current generation and you bring that into the past generation, it feels like a huge leap.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Original game.
Yeah.
So like if that's what they do here, and they or even they do like what Let's Go did, where it's like Let's Go is sort of like this Gen 7.5 sort of situation, where it has like Gen 7 mechanics, but like sort of new mechanics and like different stat boosts and buffs. I mean, and nerfs and stuff like that for attacks and all that stuff. If they do something similar to that, that would be good too. And I also wonder, will these mechanics be the same across Arceus and Sword and Shield? Like, stat wise, will the balancing changes that they make, if any, will they be consistent across the board, or will this be literally a Gen 4? Like we're going back to Gen 4 mechanics and attacks and all that stuff.
I feel like it's got to be that they have the newer attacks and stuff like that go back to it, because that's I mean, I don't know how far the improvements will go in terms of what they'll bring back, but like definitely some of the stuff will have to, but hopefully all of it, like you said, that it's snappy and just has all the quality.
Because there's just like certain stuff that like we haven't seen yet. Like
exactly.
If what we're seeing is what we get, it's a low possibility that we're getting overworld Pokemon in this game.
Right. I mean, but similarly, I mean, I agree with that. But like thinking about the first time we saw Sword and Shield, overworld Pokemon in the whole game.
Didn't see them.
The first time we saw it, none of it. Like, and like the wild area does have a moving camera. First time we didn't see it. So like, I think definitely if this is following that same kind of roadmap of announcements, the first one was just to give like a teaser of what it is, and then the next one probably will have, which we probably won't get for 3 months or so, but we'll start getting a little bit more idea of what's in there. Next comment, this is from Jordan DeBest. Hello, Jordan, who says, there's a certain charm to the older games that Sword and Shield didn't quite give me. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed Sword and Shield, but it kind of felt like the multiplayer hurt the single player by making everything streamlined. The new games I'm really excited for because it looks a lot more single player focused. I felt like the competitive damaged the single player experience, and that's what I played it for. So I think the thing for me is because that's what I play it for too, you know?
Yeah. The phrasing of it just seems weird to me because it's like the competitive didn't really do anything directly to the single player in the sense that they just made the story about what the story has always been about. And they took the responsibility of the B plot from you as the child trainer and gave it to Leon as the champion. Like that doesn't really have anything to do with competitive. The story was still about what it's usually about. They just took away the B plot and made it more of a thing toward the end of the game.
Yeah.
And I don't think that really had anything to do with them trying to be like, this is a more competitive video game. It was just like, you're a kid and this dude's the champion. He's the champion of Galar. You didn't earn your right to be that yet.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, maybe said another way, and I don't know, Jordan, you'll have to let us know, but like, I could see if you mean too, that like the focus of development and stuff like that was towards the multiplayer first and foremost, and making that the best experience it could be. And then the single player was like, let's do as much as we can in the time that we have, but it was, just didn't have as much of a focus. Then like, I could see that, but like, I definitely,
but if we're even then, like if we're contextualizing it by the past, I think they always have, with maybe the exception of like the first two games.
I would agree with, yes.
They always put like more time into like figuring out, okay, what do we do competitively? Because since I would say Gen 3, where it's like, okay, we got double battle, let's figure out what that means, you know? And then Gen 4, that's when they really were like, okay, we're doubling down on this. We got online battles. What's all that, And then from there, they just keep adding more and more to the competitive end of it.
I would definitely agree that like Gen 1 and 2 were the ones where
it was just RPGs. They're RPGs.
Yeah. And like there was, I think they didn't realize how good of a system they set up for multiplayer stuff and how much that was going to be instrumental to what Pokemon was culturally. And then they,
and I think a big part is like, that is and I talk about this a lot to you specifically, where it's like, that's the thing that separates Pokemon. Like there's no other than franchises that directly attempted to copy Pokemon, franchise that it's a competitive RPG,
right?
Like they literally have a tournament, like it's an esport and it's an RPG.
So actually, that's the interesting thing. I was going to bring that up. I think one of these next two comments that kind of go together prompted a thought that I had. But I'll just bring it up now because I don't remember if it's one of these or if it was from Jordan's. I do wonder if the mechanics of it being like where you could be on either side of it's an RPG, you could be on the player side or the AI side of every battle, and it makes sense and reasonably be on both sides of that. And like compare that to, I don't know, I had D&D last night. It's a very different experience being a player character on my team and being like, you could fight against some other characters that would be similar to me, but like playing against
one side
a big
is
demon
playing God mode
like
and the other one's playing.
And similarly, like, same thing. If it's the mechanics for in Octopath Traveler fighting a boss or something like that, it's just set up differently. Like you couldn't play both of those sides. And again, that's what makes it possible. Yeah, that's what makes it possible for it to, be multiplayer like that, and which is great. But I think the thing for me is I don't care, for me specifically, about the multiplayer side. I care about the world of Pokemon, and I care about the RPG thing, and the way that they have it. It works well enough for sure as a single player experience, but it's balanced for a multiplayer experience.
Right.
But I think it would be more fun as a single player experience if it was tailored a little bit more for the single player experience, because they have to.
Right. And that's the thing,
tricky
right?
Thing.
Like the way that a lot of people are presenting their complaint is that it's out of balance in one way, where in reality, the only way to make it more single player focused is to actually sacrifice what
Yes.
Pokemon has been before.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Pokemon has always been balanced in that way, where it's like it's the same experience across the board.
Mhm.
Even when
Which-
you're playing against an AI, you're playing competitive Pokemon. You're
Yeah.
just playing it against somebody that's not as smart.
Mhm. And even in Gen 1, it's because, or Gen 1 and Gen 2 and stuff like that, before it was with the thought of multiplayer. I mean, like, you could obviously do battles multiplayer against other people,
Mhm.
but the idea is that anything you fight is also something you can catch. So
Right.
it has to be balanced so that you can play against any of those kinds of things. Whereas again, in a lot of other games, that's just like,
That's
you
not
are
the case.
different.
Yeah.
That's all.
There's
You know,
there's some ones that are like you will never be as strong as that thing. You
Yeah.
know, like you win because the plot said so.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And there's some instances of that of Pokemon introducing elements like that where it's like this is the hyper super
Right.
god version
Yeah,
of this
exactly.
Pokemon. Once you beat him, he'll never be like that again. But he's like that right now for
Uh-huh.
the sake of the story, right? But again, yeah, like I can understand people like wanting to play Pokemon for the single player experience, but I think that going forward with this idea that it should be more single player focused is not doing what a lot of those comments purport themselves to be trying to do, where it's like I want Pokemon to be more like it always has been, but really you don't. You want Pokemon to be more of a single player game when it really never was. Like even the Gale of Darkness, every Pokemon game that is an RPG, every single one of them is the multiplayer game. It's just how much can you play multiplayer specifically, like with another human. It's like the games are either you play entirely with AI or you play the same exact game with a person.
Yeah, I think, and that's why to me it will be really interesting to see how, if at all, that's different in Legends Arceus, which I mean, it's still Pokemon, so I'm guessing not that much, you know, but like, at least maybe the framing mechanisms will be a little bit different. So, okay, I'm going to read these last two comments. I'm going to read them back to back because both make good points. But I think they show just how opposite the whole thing is, which is interesting. Christopher Brown said, "This is my problems with Pokemon as a series. First, the turn-based mechanics for Pokemon are mediocre compared to almost any other turn-based franchise that exists and has not evolved to become something better. Mega Evolutions, Z-Moves, and Gigantamax only, and stat changes and nothing else." That was, for what it's worth, that was the comment that prompted this whole topic that we just talked about. Second, the art direction to Pokemon has gotten not improved that much since Sun and Moon. Not talking about graphics. Do they just need to improve in that department? Or do they also need to improve in that part? So I guess, the art direction is stagnant, I guess is the idea. Third, exploration is boring. There's not purpose for the games to have a large open environment if they don't contribute to the game. In conclusion, the Pokemon series has stagnated and needs to find new ground. So I hope that Pokemon Legends becomes that. And if not, I don't think I'll ever come back to the series. Okay, so that's that one. And then here's this other one from Letters and Numbers. I don't know how to read this. Theotaku, but with a bunch of numbers. I think that grand innovation is good and all, but I don't think that's what Pokemon needs. What I think would make most Pokemon fans happy is that Nintendo stopped replacing features and starts just adding in small increments. I firmly believe that a Pokemon game with the visuals of Let's Go that has all the Pokemon, the breeding quality of life changes in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and a built-in global trading system like an X and Y would get very few complaints, if any.
Yeah, no, I disagree with that.
So I
disagree with the second comment more than I do the first one, and I think that it should put into perspective where I stand on this, because I'm not necessarily saying like the only people that because I've said multiple times, even though I understand the battle system and all that stuff, I don't like it. I want them to change that, you know. But I'm just being realistic about what I think that the game is and has always been. I think that doing this would double down too much on what not not many people are playing the game for like breeding changes and all this stuff and blah blah blah. I don't think the competitive scene cares that much about the idea of breeding. They just want their Pokemon to be better.
Yeah, right.
So like quality of life changes would be good. Like they would like that and everything. But if that was literally the only thing that changed, you might as well just make a Pokemon simulator at that point. Like there's no reason of making the Pokemon RPG if all you're doing is like doing the same thing over and over and over again, same art style, all that stuff. But you just improve on how easy it is to train a Pokemon team or whatever. I don't think that is a thing. And we already addressed the first part of the first comment where it's like it's not, there is no direct analog to Pokemon. The turn-based mechanics, yeah, exactly. There's none. Because even though like the ones that try to be Pokemon, you know, that the yokai watches and all that stuff, their mechanics are different, like significantly different. And I wouldn't say one is better than the other, because it's like even if like you may think that yokai watch is more deep or whatever, like there's part of like interfacing with that is very different. It's like the sort of thing of like when people come in the chats with me and Bob when we're streaming or whatever, and they're like, I want a game, which one should I get, Animal Crossing or Super Smash Brothers? It's like which one do you think you would like better, right? It's like that level of different. The art direction, I agree. I've been saying this forever. I think that they need to move away from the whole like 3DS like super clean or clean, you know, like marketable, like Pixar almost like esque sort of like approximation of like what they could do on 3DS sort of thing. And again, steer into what is unique about Pokemon. Look at Pokemon in every other medium that Pokemon exists in. They have very similar art direction. It's all in anime. So just double down on that and make it an anime. You know, like go full Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 and make it look like that.
And then as far as the exploration one, I definitely agree with that. That's especially something for me, you know, because like, I like exploration in games and I like, you know, the whole single player thing and all that. And that's something that like, I remember when we saw that there was a wild area, but before we saw what it was, or we saw the map and there was this one big open section. We're like, wow, what is that? It could be this one big open section. And I was like, I can't envision in Pokemon as it stands right now, like why I would want a really big open environment. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like just the way that the formula is now, it's like, cool. I find some items and some Pokeball, you know, like neat, I guess.
Yeah. Like Pokemon, how it exists and how you can, in every game, which is like, it's not about stagnation. Pokemon has always been this, always. So like, if we're talking about when it's like, it's stagnated, I don't know if I agree with that, because it's never changed in that way, right? It's always been the same. It was born stagnant. I think that Pokemon, because it's balanced as this like multiplayer thing, that like that sort of thing, they try to make it so that Pokemon are as accessible as possible. And to make exploration more interesting in the Pokemon world, the only real bargaining chip there to make exploration more interesting is the Pokemon. So they can't be like, okay, well, we got to let you have a flying type Pokemon or whatever, right? So we got to put Pidgey in this area. We got to put this Pokemon here because there's a gym that's coming up and you got to be able to blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Instead of, we're going to put Snorlax in this high up mountain that you have to climb to with this very specific, you know, like like that.
I mean,
sort
the
of
closest thing I can think to exploration, honestly, is like, I don't know, finding some legendary Pokemon. Well, but like the power plant in Gen 1, you know, like that's like, it's just out of the way. It's not, you can either look it up on a thing and they're like, oh, that's where it is, or just kind of go out of the way a little bit. Cerulean Cave, same kind of way. Like, I mean, again, I'm a Gen 1er, so what can I do? But like that kind of stuff, it's like they do
stuff like that. They've done stuff like that. With,
that's the
like,
most you can do with Mewtwo, the way Pokemon is set up right now. Exactly,
that sort of thing. But there's stuff that they could, again, look to the anime, to the mangas and stuff like that. There's exploration that they could do, but as Pokemon currently exists, their focus is, and again, always has been, the multiplayer sort of thing. And again, I say multiplayer, but the competitive end, whether you're playing that with a AI or a person. That is what they're focusing on and have always.
So yeah,
so
I mostly thought those
should,
two comments were funny just because how
like
how polar opposite they were, but both seemed like, yeah, but and this is the way everybody feels. And it's like,
yes, exactly.
Which is, you know, like that just shows how diverse Pokemon is and how like different people just feel different ways about, you know, all sorts of
Pokemon
have
is
resonated
so
with different
diverse
aspects. Yeah.
because they present so many different themes.
Yeah.
And in some cases, the idea of different themes, and people fall in love with each, you know, little droplet of that suggestion where it's like, oh, you suggest to me that you're this like narrative experience with a game like Pokemon Black and White, right? So that is the part that I fell in love with because that is what you presented to me specifically when I got into the game. I want this to be that. So then you play it again, and in a lot of cases it is literally just that again. And people see that as like, oh, they took a step backwards, and it's like, no, it's just not as new to you anymore. So you discard what was what was bad about the last thing and what's good about this thing, right? Because you're lumping it all together. I think that definitely Sword and Shield, like objectively, has less of a focus in that way because it is lasering in on the trainer's journey of it all. Like that to them is the story in this game. But I think people give the stories of Pokemon games in retrospect too much credit.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think there's easy ways even for them to, like, there's simple stuff that Gen 1 did that was where you can do gyms in a couple different orders, where there's something to that simplicity that just even now would feel good, but it makes actually having a story itself harder because the way they have to railroad track you to have a story, and then that, you know, so it's like there's
that's the main reason why I don't think that, like, I disagree that Pokemon needs to have this grand story. I think that the trainer's journey is I think the trainer's journey is strong enough that if you make that different for everybody in some way, where again you do the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon test, I'm from Fuchsia, you're from freaking Pewter, you know, like that makes our stories different enough because like that sort of thing where it's like, oh man, the first Pokemon that I caught was an Onix, and I'm like, what? How? The first Pokemon I caught was Lickitung. You know,
I mean, at that, like, make it a randomizer, basically, you know, like, I mean, not exactly,
and like have that influence the interactions you have with people, where it's like,
I mean, it's like, again, Breath of the Wild barely has a story, you know, it does, but
but
barely, you know, the story is the experience.
But that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like the analog for that story of like, here is very simple, straight to the point goalpost. Pokemon League champion. Right, here's the world, you know, training your Pokemon is the equivalent to that, meeting new trainers to like spar with, in a sense, finding the gyms to conquer, all that stuff. That is the open world of Breath of the Wild. That's the shrines, right?
Also, idea
story doesn't matter that much.
Like, I feel like interactions and things are important to where, like, the rival conversation and blah blah blah, having something where sort of, maybe depending on your starting town or depending on like some choices that you make at some point, it, you know, means that you're this kind of like, you know, hidden value personality type or something like that, where that means that because you've befriended this one person, this other person kind of becomes your rival or something along those lines. So like,
or even like they could do the whole, you know, like adaptive difficulty where it's like, oh, this person, like, this is definitely the trainer you had the hardest time battling to this point. So we're going to have this trainer suggest like, hey, let's be rivals or whatever. Let's exchange numbers because you had a hard time battling them, or the hardest time that you've had yet. So it's like there's a hierarchy, like a freaking like Highlander sort of thing where it's like, oh, you're my crappy rival now. There's another rival that replaced you because he challenged me more and you didn't get a chance to do that because we didn't rematch or whatever the case may be, or they just have a better team that's a better counter to mine or whatever the case may be. there's so many different ways that they could do it without
Yeah.
making it this pretentious, like, man, but what if Pokemon, like, we live in a society, Pokemon, dude. You know, like the story does not matter in Pokemon and never has. It could if they wanted it to, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
My closing thoughts are Legends Arceus. Let's see what you got. You know, that's
Let's
it.
see.
All right, and last but not least, Q&A. Here we go. Let's do it. On YouTube community, I put up a poll for would you buy basically like Switch XL, like same hardware except for new screen that's bigger and therefore a little bit better battery life. If it's OLED, maybe, you know, but it's $250, so a little like it's a little bit better in handheld, but it's cheaper also. Or would you buy new chip that can do some 4K, pretty much what we've been hearing super around, with slightly fancier Joy-Cons, like a Joy-Con revision for $350. So I asked people that. And also same screen as the other one. Doodle Drew says, I would pay a lot for a better Switch. I had mine since day one and I got a ton of use out of it. So it'd be worth it to improve the experience, performance, and visuals. Plus, I'm getting a real adult job, so I can afford it without feeling bad now.
Sick.
Nice.
You love to see that.
You love to see
when you're just like, oh,
Character
a new
growth.
$400 console came out, whatever. You know, it's not like I'm pinching. It's like, you know, as a kid, no slights to people that like legitimately have like stuff to pay for in there because of crappy economies and whatnot, can't afford it and all that stuff. But just it being the difference between, man, I'm a kid and I have to like ask other people for money, and like now I'm a person that has my own money and I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I haven't bought Bravely Default 2 yet because we're saving up for adoption. That's happening and stuff. And like, I'm not spending extra money until that is like,
I'm buying Bravely Default 2 right now.
What?
Nothing.
No,
continue.
Don't do it. You're good. I'll get it later when, like, things. So what a time, you know? Also, I've got a ton of backlog that I'm trying to finish up before I get anything new. Moving on. We Had Me said, I'm not at all interested in the display. I just want stronger hardware. So there it is. Stronger hardware. Lizdrin 2. There's always been a 2 there, right? Yeah. Lizdrin said, hey guys, longtime listener, first time caller. My question.
That's not even true. It's not even true. It's not even true.
But I love it. My question is, when they made the Mario movie in 1993, what were they thinking and why was this allowed to happen?
Money. They were like,
they like fully outsourced it, right? Like they didn't have anything to do with it.
They didn't even outsource it. The company walked up to them and was like, "Yo,
oh really?
Oh wow, we're trying to make movies. Give us it." And they were like, "All right." And that's it. That's the end of the story. It wasn't even like, all right, let's approve stuff. You know, like we got to sign off on blah 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 blah. Oh, you're safe this time. You're safe this time. You're lucky.
Why is that?
I gotta get my. Oh wait, no, hold on.
I'm safe. Don't do it.
Where is it? I think I have it here, accessible to me. I don't. Oh, I do. Okay, no, we're good. What is it asking me for? Okay, yeah.
A hat.
Continue.
Amp said, you got me with the new Joy-Con design. My hope is that it also causes a price drop on the Switch Lite. I'll buy 3 Switches at once. Switch Pro and 2 lights for the kids. Okay. Yeah. Good call. Do you think, man, I don't know when they're going to do a price drop at this point. Like they've had so many opportunities that it's like, we'll see when it happens, but who even knows, you know? Zach Gray said, current screen is fine, but the chipset leaves a lot to be desired. I feel like that's hard to say because it's 4 years old at this point. So like, yes, it does by today's standards, but it's just hard when we're in an environment where we get new products every year that keep getting better and better. So like our tolerance for older technology is waning. So it's hard to say that now when it was so impressive when it first came out, like just the number of conversations of people being like, I can't believe what I'm seeing at the time, but now is like, you know, like, Switch sucks or whatever. you know.
For
So
me,
probably,
it's literally always been like, this is, even if it's just Xbox 360, which it's not, it's more powerful than the Wii U, which was on paper. And I mean, more like you can prove it more powerful than like the PS3. It's like, this is a tablet that's more powerful than the Wii U console, which is huge.
And at that, for $300, like that's because that's a big thing, is like there's other tablets that are stronger but cost $1,200. So like that's, you know. But I remember a guy I was working with in like 2018 showing me his new iPad Pro that's like $1,200 or whatever. He was like, it can run Civilization 6, look at this. Which great. And now, you know, like later that year it came to the Switch as well. So like that's even like that's a big deal, you know. So all right, I guess I'm playing Bravely Default 2 tonight.
Or whatever you want. Whatever you want, honestly.
Oh man, I'm excited to play it. Thank you. It's we will have like baby showers coming up pretty soon, starting like, or maybe just one of them, I don't know, next month. There's 2 people that have talked about throwing a baby shower. So but that's all like baby stuff.
Oh wait, is that your, hold on. Oh no. All right, we'll talk to that after. We'll talk about that after.
It's a baby shower gift. So but to me, as the dad, also I get 6 weeks off from my job.
No, it's not.
Which is,
how come your pin tweet's not the fundraiser thing?
Oh, that's, I don't know.
Because I wanted to donate to that too, but I cannot find it.
Yeah, I think I just feel like I'm super great. So like a number of people in the community have given to our adoption, which is like, just, that's one of those things where like I put it up there. I'm like, like no pressure, absolutely, but like it's here if you want to. But like I'm just blown away that anybody would at all. So like, but it's one of those things like I feel weird pinning it because that feels like I don't know, expecting it more or something like that, which I know I'm not, but I don't want to give that impression either. So, but yeah, man, it's crazy. We're gonna have a kid.
Sick.
Carrying on. But yeah, I get 6 weeks off from my job, which is super cool. So I think I'm going to some inside baseball now. I think I'm going to prepare at least like 3 videos ahead of time to just like, that are sort of evergreenish ones to put up during then. And then just like still do the podcast and then do a video every other week or something along those lines. Cause I feel like that's probably more reasonable instead of leaving things out in the lurch. We'll see.
Or, I mean, well, it's up to you. You could do those 3 videos and they just sit.
Yeah, right.
They just sit in the drive and it's like, I can't this week, but here's a video.
Yes, exactly. That's, yep. I'm down with that. So there you go. Carrying on. Jorg said, I have a Switch. I don't need 2, and to buy another because of blind consumerism isn't justification for me. Yeah.
How dare you?
Valid.
How dare you? No, it's not. Buy 2.
You need to, it's up to you to get it to hit the DS numbers, you know?
Exactly. If you don't buy 2, we're not going to hit DS. To the moon.
To blame Jorg. So, but no, that's very valid. Man, yeah, that's one of those things where like I'm excited about a new Switch, but also like I'm sure my wallet's not going to be thrilled about it. But you know, it's after 4 years, I feel like a third Switch is
it's fine. It's
reasonable.
Fine,
you know, especially when one of them is my
People
wife's.
Buy $1,000
so like,
phones every year, and you switch 4 years in, wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah. The Nintendo Gamer, I don't really care how much it is, as I've been saving since 2020 for this. I just hope
I've been saving for 20 years.
It's been 84 years. I've been saving since 2020 for this. I just hope it has insane battery life, like 10 hours. I'm hoping to play it from like 3 to 10 easy without charging it, since that would be a dream.
Yo, if it had 10 hours, I would never consciously, I mean, I don't consciously charge my Switch now, but I would definitely.
That's the thing, is like there's definitely a point after which, and I don't know what it is, but like there's definitely a time span that's too short, like the 2 to 4 hours or whatever that the original was. That was too short. Like that's there were plenty of times where I would, not plenty of times, but enough times that I would sit down, full battery life, play Breath of the Wild for a while, and need to charge it midway through. And that's.
But
like,
I wonder how much of that is like, because for me it's like I don't play handheld as much as I did then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big part of that is like streaming and like can't play handheld streaming. But also I think the novelty of it all of like, man, I'm playing this game on this in my hand.
There's definitely like
made me do that more often than I
sure.
realistically like would want to otherwise,
Yeah, and there's just like an
like
amount of time past that where it's like, I'm not going to play. It's pretty much like if I envision the longest I'm going to sit down and play handheld all at once, that's the longest the battery life needs to be.
Yeah.
Realistically.
And I think that for me, at least, there are two common instances of me playing games long enough to even drain the old Switch battery life. And it's, I'm playing Smash. Or it's a new game that I want to finish over the weekend before I gotta do a Pokemon.
Right,
It's like that sort of thing. But there's no like normal thing of like, I'm just gonna play a video game where I'm playing for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours straight, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm playing for maybe 3 and then I'm done and I'm doing something else.
Yep. Yeah, I feel you. Last one from Pat Green. I would get an XL if I didn't think a better model was coming out in 2022. Yeah, that's always the killer. It's like, I really
just
hope,
perpetually being like, there's definitely one next year too, man.
I hope that whenever this, the new Nintendo Switch Twitter comes out, that like the sources that there are like, yep, that was the one we were talking about, and that closes that conversation for a long time. Yeah. There it is. And now questions from Twitter. And there were a couple more that came in under the wire that I pulled up, many of which on the same topic. I retweeted the thing and was like, I don't know, you could ask us something like, what's your favorite kind of potato? I was envisioning it differently than the actual way it got asked, which is the real way. So Duncan catches in, said, Parker says to ask, what's your favorite kind of potato? But are the different kinds of potatoes really that different to have a favorite between them? A, I don't know. B, I was definitely imagining different style of potato as opposed to like the Idaho potato or the russet potato.
Wait,
or whatever.
What do you mean by styles of potato? You mean like preparation?
Yes, that's what I was when I said it. That's like what I was.
That's
thinking.
The thing that came to my mind. Well, I think that's not true. Initially, the first thing that came to my mind is like sweet potato, dude. Obviously, and that's not even technically a potato.
Yeah, it's a yam, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just wrong. But that was the first thing that came to my head, and then it was like, I don't know, French fries, chips. And then chips. After that, it was like Mr. Potato Head, dude. Obviously.
I love it. Potato batteries, maybe, as far as Duncan's question.
Oh wait, did you listen to when we did the freaking Guy with the Hair podcast?
I don't.
When me and Bob were on it,
think so. I listened to one of the one. I don't think so.
Don't do it. Okay. Don't do it. But one of the things, I mean, you guys should listen to it, but Parker specifically, don't do it. We were talking about apparently there's a company that just mails people stuff on potatoes.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. Yep,
one of my
coworkers did it.
They said they were going to mail us a postcard on a potato. They never did it though. So. Right.
That's really funny. Yeah. So to the question, are there enough different kinds of potatoes? I don't know. I literally
There's apparently
only know
like this purple looking potato.
Yeah. Different kinds of.
I typed in. Oh wait.
Are you talking the Vito?
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
That's way more purple than I was expecting.
Yeah,
I was imagining just
GameCube.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was imagining more like what it's calling Laura potatoes, like the red ones. I think as far as like if that's what we're talking about, like different kinds of potatoes, I'm going for that, like a red potato.
I thought you were talking about the purple potato.
No, that's scary.
You just discovered it exists.
That's an eggplant.
Yeah. I don't know if I like that. It's from France, dude. That was your neighbor.
Yep. Well, I mean, I lived in France for like 10 years. So I'd never had a. Maybe I did, and I just forgot.
Fake
I don't know.
Fake French person, dude.
But I will say,
French resident.
Favorite like preparation of potatoes. French fries and chips are definitely up there. I think number one even though it's not the most common that I have, but like scalloped potatoes, I guess, or in French, gratin dauphinoise, like a cream, but like baked kind of potato situation thing.
Gotcha.
Really good. That's my favorite.
Not as good as Mr. Potato Man, but it's
No, 100% not. Yeah, I was just thinking about eating it, but like, if you can have a whole friend that's a potato, there you go. Pete said, now I have to know, Parker, what is your favorite kind of potato and why? It's gratin dauphinoise. So scalloped potatoes. My mom would make like quadruple portions for a family, like 4 times the amount of the recipe, and still famously there were never any leftovers. Like it just didn't happen because we always ate it and it was so good. And
it's a sign of a solid potato, dude.
Yep. Before leaving the potato topic, Pat Green said, specifically, what's your favorite color potato?
The purple one.
I mean, now, yeah. Man. All right. And then non-potato related, but still great.
You didn't even bring up what Pete said.
Yeah, I did. I just said it.
Parker, I thought you were talking. I thought it was Duncan that freaking... You said Duncan's.
And then I just briefly said Pete's, but Pete, I will talk about you longer now.
Yeah, hey, one day he'll be on the podcast.
Wow, oh man, that would be so great. Imagine Pete on the podcast.
Imagine him
for
being
first
on the
time
for the first time ever. That'd be crazy.
Hey, everybody, go listen to Loot Pots if you don't already. They're great. I don't have a commute, so I have very few podcasts I listen to these days, and that's one of them. So, because they're good folks over there.
True.
Borgia. Digital Borgia says, how soon after March 31st will Nintendo make their next big announcement? And what do you think logically is their next reveal for the year?
I don't even know if it will be after. I feel like it will either be on or like slightly before.
What is March 31st as a day of the week? I'm going to look it up.
But then again, they're doing their
they can do it on the 31st.
Aren't they doing their briefing after that? Because if they're doing their briefing after that, maybe slightly after then.
Usually they do the briefing.
Because like when they a lot of times
after a month after, so like
okay,
or like sometime either like the end of April, way beginning of May, I think is right. Right. Pretty sure.
I think I saw May.
Yeah. Typically, like I think it'd be like May 2nd or something along those lines.
So maybe like a week after 31st or like a week before. I could see them go either way because like I think that they would want to be like, all right, this thing is going away, but let's announce something that will
replaces it. Yeah,
exactly, and not even necessarily replace it directly, but hey, here's this other thing to get you excited, to distract you from the fact that you're mad.
Yeah. I think for some reason, I think it makes more sense to do it right before, but I feel like it's more likely somehow still that they do it right after. That just recently, that feels a bit more like their ploy is give you just a couple of days of being like, what is going on? And then hit you with it, Yeah, I could see that. And then as far as like big announcements, I think probably they'll have more around the like when normally there would be E3 kind of time. I could see more announcements then.
I think we'll definitely get more Zelda stuff and
and
Pokemon
what their next
probably. Yeah,
and at that point I wouldn't be surprised if we found out about fall holiday type games. Which it's hard to say. I feel like last week y'all disagreed about about Breath
I don't remember what we talked about last week.
I don't
because it was literally just it's whenever it's me, it's like we're just doing it, dude.
Yeah.
Like there's no structure to this.
I could tell right towards the end, Dan was like, I've got to go.
Yep. But it's Dan's fault. See, that's the thing. Dan's like always talking about like, oh man, directly used so long. But it's long 100%. Every time he's on it because of him. And that's not a bad thing. We like
No,
that.
That's great. Yeah, exactly.
But you can't complain about it being long when you're the reason.
We have a lot of fodder for conversation, and he has a lot of great conversations. So the two, what can you do? You're at an impasse at that point. Last one from Twitter, the Devilman's Crybaby. In your opinion, what's your favorite brand of headphones? I don't know that I have.
I mean,
enough.
generally, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I like the AirPods because they're convenient.
Yeah, I've got Raycons.
But at the
for that
same time,
reason.
they're not. Like, they're like inconvenient in weird ways. Like, I had to disable the automatic switching thing because when you get a notification, the AirPods yeet to whatever one it's going to prioritize. So, like, say I'm talking to you, and I say I still had the notification thing turned on. If I got a the automatic switching thing turned on.
Mhm.
If I got a notification on my iPad, it would yeet my headphones to my iPad and stay on my iPad.
That's
so I had to like
dumb.
manually go and say I don't want it on my iPad anymore, and then that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
no,
in that
that's
way,
awful.
they're inconvenient, but in a lot of ways they're convenient. So like my AirPods are probably my favorite headphones that I own. But
Mhm.
I don't know if it's like a brand sort of thing where it's like I prefer this brand.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like I come from, like I went to school for audio production, but I'm not an audiophile, whereas a lot of my peers definitely were. And so that's something where like I had to get a pair of like critical listening headphones that are like super, like accurate, super flat and accurate, and you can hear all the everythings. But they're not the most fun to listen to because they're not EQ'd
flat
at all.
And exactly.
So yeah, it's like you have to rely on the music really, producing that stuff as opposed to the headphones making up the difference. So that said, like I sold that pair of headphones that I had to buy for college because I was like, I don't enjoy listening to these, and I don't mix in I'm not good enough. Like I'm fine at mixing stuff because whatever, but like I'm nowhere near, all the rest of them. So like, who cares? I just like listening.
I have multiple headphones for different reasons. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the other end of the brand loyalty thing. Like I have, I know it's like this cardinal sin is like Beats headphones. I'm like, I don't care. I think they look cool. So I have 2 pairs of those. And then I have AirPods and I have these AKGs that are like pretty flat. And like it's different headphones for different use cases.
And I got Ashley, like I said, got me these Raycons for Christmas because I was like, man, Raycon should sponsor one of our videos because I want to get free headphones from people paying for headphones. And she got them for me for Christmas, and that was great.
Sponsored by Ashley.
Yep, and with the promo code from Corridor Crew because they sponsor that a lot of times. And we always think that's funny. Good question.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, and I'll get 100 Raycons for all my ears.
Oh my god!
All right,
you have 100 ears.
So many ears, it's insane. Mostly of corn, but they do the trick. Mm-hmm. Last but not least, Discord has some questions. Dat Boy Cam 5 says, "A world without peanut butter or a world without jelly?"
A world without jelly, easy. Because jelly is not even like jelly's low tier. Like, give me jam.
Okay. Can we do that? It's so no, just jelly.
But I just mean like if that's the like still even if we're including jam, I'm saying peanut butter because peanut butter it's more versatile.
Yes, it is. No, you're not wrong.
But the reason why I'm using that as an argument here is because it's not which is better. It's which world would I want to live in without,
No, that's super valid. Yeah.
If I that's
why
without,
it's a hard thing for me because like I
don't eat jelly or jam as often as I eat peanut butter.
Definitely not as often, but some of my favorite things include jam kinds of things.
Like what?
Pim's cookies. If you've ever had those, they're also called Jaffa cakes. I love like those kinds of cookies that have like little bits of jam in them and stuff. Like,
but there's like so many more freaking cookies with like peanut butter and like chocolate.
Oh, true. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's hard.
All over the place, dude.
If I can separate jelly and jam, which I don't think is fair, so I shouldn't be able to.
It's not.
I would definitely say jelly can go. But I do think that there are other things that can sort of replace peanut butter. Even like in my mind, also same thing. If peanut butter's gone, so's almond butter, so's whatever else like that. But there's some context where toffee could replace peanut butter or caramel could replace peanut butter depending on the circumstance.
No, I don't agree with that.
Not like perfectly, but like
because
close
usually,
enough.
because like at least with like the chocolate and like candy and like cookies and all that stuff that I like that has like caramel and all that stuff, it has also peanut butter. Like it's very rare for me to like just like caramel like, by itself. It's usually peanut butter is involved somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think peanut butter is just the way to go here.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna say it and live with the consequences. Peanut butter's gone.
Wow.
I know. I wouldn't have thought, but like, yeah, I think even though I have peanut butter way more often than I
That's what I'm saying.
Jam.
Like what?
But I'm just gonna live with the consequences. You know, there it is.
I don't know, man. I can't live in your world, dude.
No, I'm glad you don't have to.
Because the peak of jelly is not.
No, the peak of jelly is not, but the peak of jam.
And it's not like good. The peak of jelly and the like. Neither argument, I don't think, jelly wins. You know, like the top of jelly and like the frequency of jelly is so much lower than peanut butter.
But like
so much.
I'm thinking like raspberry preserves on toast or something like that is, to me, is way higher than most things I can think of with peanut butter. Like I'm racking my brain. And like, I love like Moose Tracks, for example, but like I can substitute a little bit within the Moose Tracks family, but like just good jam on toast, I can't.
Yeah, I don't.
But no, I feel you. I
don't eat toast frequently.
Also, the question is like, would it include gelatin things? Like, does that mean probably not?
Yeah,
like,
no more gummy. Or we're going down a hole. We're going down a rabbit hole in this one. That I think that's too much. That's
also, I love a world where there's peanuts and there's butter, but
no peanut butter.
You just can't figure out how to make peanut butter.
Wait, like, butter? Why is it? Hold on, wait. What does butter have to do with this equation?
I'm pretty sure there's some butter in the. I mean, it's obviously mostly like crushed and creamed, peanuts. But like,
I'm pretty sure that you could prepare peanut butter without.
Yeah,
butter.
It's just oil. You're right. It's oil.
I'm reasonably sure that peanut butter does not actually have butter in it more often than not.
I concur. I made a lapse in judgment. Please, forgive me. Second question, same person, Dat Boy Cam 5. Also, how would you explain fire to someone that has never seen it before?
It's bright, it dances, it's red, and it's hot.
You can't just.
Well, it's red and orange and white and blue and green and.
They see a rainbow and they're like, "That there it is. That's fire.
That's fire." But it doesn't dance and it's not hot. What?
That's
and
true.
It's not bright.
If it's far away enough, I don't know. Yeah, they just got it. Bright fire dance. There it is. Aussie 57 asks Bob or Wood.
Bob.
I think the answer is clear.
What?
If you're trying to make a fire
for nearly a decade,
but if you're trying to dip in and out of some water, probably Bob.
I was about to say you're trying to murder Wood? Jesus. That's great. You're trying to make
obviously, yeah. Wood's great, but Bob's are close, but I mean more you than me, but like I love Bob.
But even then, like Bob is infinitely closer to you than Wood.
Oh, 100%.
Have you even met Wood?
Once. Yeah. No. It's no contest. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, you did meet Wood. You did that
Among Us
thing.
Among Us that one time. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Man, what a time.
It's true.
Bob's great. A world without games or cooked food. Oh man.
What?
A world without how? Also, what does a world without games mean? Because is that video games or is that like games?
Yeah, just period? All
because
games.
A lot of this podcast, in some regards, has also been games. Like, it's So at
life
that point,
is a game,
I mean,
dude, the game of life.
If you mean just video games, yeah, I'll go world without games.
Yeah,
because cooked food. Come on. But if it's like if we're really stretching it out to what games means as a whole, no, I can't.
Yeah, I mean,
that's hard.
If we're talking about video games, but even then, I don't know because cooked food, I could there's plenty of food I like that's not cooked. So,
And like prepared is different than cooked too.
yeah,
You could prepare
exactly.
something
Right.
like, you know, mix some things together or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I still wouldn't love it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I love me some pizza, but like, you know, you could still,
I
yeah.
don't like pizza that much. I mean, pizza's good. Pizza's great and everything.
Pizza is great.
But-
and everything.
But like, if it's like, oh, you can't, because even like, you can, if you like pizza that much, and it's like, and you like games that much, you could just freaking eat Lunchable pizza, dude. It's like, that's not cooked.
I mean,
food.
honestly, yeah, there's a lot of things, a lot of workarounds where like you can make food without fire and heat, and then it's not cooked, and then you got it. That's it. Success. And speaking of success, we did it. We finished a whole podcast, the Pokemon podcast, as it were. I mean, quite literally in the end. We
It's
talked
true.
about Pokemon
It's-
so
yeah,
long.
It's Pokemon.
We were
The last
we
minute
fell
decision
short
to do the thing
Yeah.
made sense in the
It
end
did.
because the thumbnail is going to be Pokemon. The title
Yep.
is going to be Pokemon.
Thank you, Dirk Marcos, for that idea.
Mhm.
That is all.
We did it.
All right.
We did it. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Watch my video. Tell your friend to watch my video.
100%.
Comment on my video. And if you already comment on the video, say like a Smash Brothers related thing. Just like say Master Hand. Give the YouTube algorithm some fodder, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.